What's up, everybody? Man, we are getting crazy action for Brooklyn right now. Whoever's idea was to just spam Puerto Rico versus Mexico over and over again, they made a good decision because in the last two fights, I should have hopped on this live earlier. My fault. You snooze, you lose. But we have an early knockout of the year candidate with Nestor Bravo knocking out Pedro Campa. And now with Cintron and Victor Sandoval, we have a round of the year candidate. That round one had 4 knockdowns in it. And man, yeah, Nestor Bravo, brutal left hook knockout over Pedro Campa. Keith Colon, 9-0, 9 knockouts now, staying steady on the front foot and being patient enough and sustaining a body attack to knock out veteran Alberto Govera. But in this fight, man, Cintron versus Sandoval, this was a round of the year candidate right out the gates in 2026. That was, Javier Cintron. We know he's Puerto Rican because of Kermit Cintron. But man, I like these opening fights, chat, because it shows Mexico Puerto Rico still has juice. You don't see those matchups as often as you did 25 years ago. But that was nasty. I'm fucking up, chat. I should have been live an hour ago. These fights have been quality. Not really familiar with fresh promotions, but whoever was their matchmaker to decide, let's just do Mexico, Puerto Rico over and over again in Brooklyn, they were smart. They were very smart, whoever's idea that was. My compliments to you, putting these fighters in Brooklyn and saying, let's do the Mexico, Puerto Rico thing over and over and over again. That was smart. So, yeah, man. Let me say what's up to my peoples. What's up, Chiquien? Good to see you, Triple J. You know, that's what we got to call you now, Chiquien, sometimes. It's Triple J. We got Triple G, Triple H, and now we got Triple J, Chiquien Boxing. Noah says, fresh cut, Sean. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, but I do miss my luscious locks, and they will be back. I will be growing them back out, but thank you. I had to show I was capable of a real haircut. Yeah, and then John CS4 Caesars, John Caesars, I'm going to say, says, go figure, the underrated pay-per-view winds up being fire. Well, they keep it simple, stupid, right? They said, you know what? We're in Brooklyn. Load the card with Puerto Ricans. Match them up against, except for Alberto Govera, who came to survive against Keith Colon. But let's match them up against, come forward, Mexican fighters and fireworks. What do you know? Put Puerto Rican fighters and Mexican fighters in there, and you get some fireworks. So maybe this card is destined for Subriel Matias to win, and we get Subriel Matias versus Isaac Pitbull Cruz, a violent matchup made from the fight of the year boxing gods. That sounds fun. No blasphemy intended. But King Pound for Pound says, what's up, Sean? Styling in 2026. No, do not worry. The shag will return. The shag will return. The 15-year-old haircut will return. But Gino, what's up, Gino? Good to see you, brother. Always appreciate keeping up with you on Twitter, and happy to see you in the live here tonight. Shout out to my man Gino Corleone. Gino, are you a Saints fan, or what was your team again, Gino? Let me know in the chat. So by the way, Gino, you got to check out that PBS Frontline NFL documentary from 1983 about how football was kind of organized by a lot of mafia associates, mob associates. Super interesting stuff, Gino. I know you love football. What's up, Zero Earth? Says, get cornrows. Oh, man. I don't know. I think I'd get made fun of even more than I do for my normal haircut. So I'm going to have to pass. But I love seeing you in the chat. Says Zero says, hola, Senor Zittel. Good to see you, brother. Noah says, I got Dalton Smith winning. The fight. Well, I can see that happening. I give the edge to Subriel Matias on volume. But, you know, Matias, even though he's the one with 22 knockouts and 23 wins, we know he's a combination accumulation knockout artist. Dalton Smith has good power, good pop in both hands. And he's got a pretty good right hand, good power on his right hand. And as crazy as it sounds, maybe just single punch for single punch. Dalton Smith, it might be the better puncher, single punch for single punch, because Matias is an accumulation knockout puncher. He gets it done with tons and tons and tons of volume and combinations. Maybe Dalton Smith could place some right hands and hurt and stop Subriel Matias. I can see that happening. But as my man Brendan Taylor, who was, oh, what's up, Charles N, says the haircut makes you look elusive. Okay, hold on, let me tuck the chin while I do it, though. I can't, I'm not elusive. I'm a hands up, you know, not too elusive catch guy. But I like that it makes me look elusive. Do I have some white boy swag, as they would say, Charles N? Is that what we got going on now with the shorter hair? I miss the flowing locks. They will return. But back to Dalton Smith, Subriel Matias. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but part of me thinks that Smith is too patient. My boy Brendan Taylor, True School Sports, he's in the building down there in Brooklyn. I wish I was out there with him. But, staying home, saving some money to start the year. Probably be staying home. I am staying home for Tiafimo Shakur as well for the same kind of reasons. But I think Dalton might be too patient. And Dalton Smith is very fundamentally sound and good fundamentals, solid technical skills, but a little bit of what Floyd Mayweather would say, straight up and down, no special effects. Matias's defense isn't very good. He stands very upright. He doesn't really bend his knees, and he's got some good catch game. Once he catches a rhythm on offense, he'll start catching and shooting pretty well. But not a lot of head movement from him. He stands very erect, pause, and again, his offense is kind of his defense. So I could see Dalton Smith placing hard right hands. Dalton Smith is a good body puncher. But Dalton Smith, back to talking about, doesn't have a lot of special effects. There's not a whole lot of upper body movement from Dalton Smith. And I don't think his feet aren't as good as Liam Paro, who upset Matias. And he doesn't have that southpaw advantage, angles-wise, that Liam Paro had. And again, I think Paro had better feet than him. But like Paro, he's a very fundamentally sound fighter. Keeps his hands up well and has good power. I think he has a little bit more power than Liam Paro, who's a decent puncher. I think Smith packs a little bit more of a punch. But I think unless Smith can really hurt Subriel Matias with his right hand and wear him down to the body, I think he'll get overwhelmed by the volume over the course of 12 rounds, maybe stopped. So I give the edge to Subriel Matias. But Teddy Atlas wisely noted that he's coming off a hell of a war against Alberto Puello in his last fight. Those fights can take something out of you. He's 33. Smith is a fresh 28 with only 18 fights. Matias has been beaten a couple times. He's been in a lot of wars and got popped for Osterine and got popped for trying to use gloves that the commission didn't approve yesterday. So you got to look at that a little sideways and wonder if that tells us something about his character. And you got to wonder if he's a little distracted going back and forth with Eddie Hearn all the time. And if he is in the back of his mind, has some of that factoring into his mind, his mental state in the fight, that he popped for a PED and got on the defensive about that. So I don't know, man. We'll have to see. But it should be a really, I'm convinced it's a good fight. I'm not fully convinced Matias is going to beat Smith. I give Smith a real chance of winning this fight. I favor Matias, but I'm convinced it's going to be a good fight because Smith is not a mover. He's more of a basic, fundamentally sound fighter who doesn't move a whole lot. And then Matias is one of the most exciting television, well, whatever we call it now when you're streaming on ppv.com or DAZN or whatever these platforms are now, streaming. But let's use an old school term. He's one of the most exciting television fighters in boxing. One of the most exciting offensive fighters in boxing. So I think it's going to be good. But I got a couple super chats to go. Got bro looking 56 with the cut. Oh, why do you have to say that, Caramel? I don't think. Now you can make me. What do you mean, man? I got. What are you talking about, bro? Don't hurt my feelings. It's okay. You got me. But Matt Borgeson, what's going on? I'm going to get to the super chat in a second. Just want to shout out some people. Dog Day Boxing. Let me see. Steve Santiago, great to see you, man. Matt, what's up, Matt? Gotta get back to you on IG later tonight. Says Matias is a cheater. Always good to see you in the chat, Matt. But Matt saying Matias is a cheater. And a lot of people in the aftermath of him popping for Osterine, look back at the Maxime Dadashev fight sideways. But that's a little heavy to put on him in retrospect with hindsight. But I am acknowledging what some people have been saying in the aftermath of him popping for that. And a kind of, questionable decision, let's say, by the WBC to let him keep fighting anyways. Matias, who's not protected by one of the big promoters, claims conspiracy. I'm always open to that kind of thing. He feels whether it's Eddie Hearn or maybe Turki Al-Sheikh backing Eddie Hearn, being that Turki doesn't have a piece of this fight, being that Eddie Hearn is not the lead promoter in this fight, maybe feels like some shenanigans have happened with his testing. I have said in the past that, you know, VADA could potentially be a weaponized system against fighters without as big a name as the other fighters, but that's all speculative. And the fact of the matter is he popped for a PED. So you could definitely argue a dubious decision by the WBC to allow him to defend his title tonight. And in the latest in a long line of dubious decisions by the WBC. But we got a fight tonight, and we'll be watching it. Carlian Mello says, I'm still the GOAT, regardless of saying I'm 56 years old. I appreciate that. PJ Rocks, shout out to you from New Zealand. They didn't complete your lineup in the front. That's all champ. No, I know. And I kind of winged it on the fly. I didn't come in with a vision for the haircut. I just, midway through mid-normal haircut, I said, let's go ahead and shorten it up a little bit more than usual. And then it came out kind of fucked up. But, hey, we're going to roll with it for now. Official Chip Skylark, good to see you, brother. And Gino says, yeah, I do think Matias is going to overwhelm Dalton Smith, might lead to a late stoppage. All right, let's get to a few super chats now. My wife says, what's up, handsome? All right, there you go. There you go. My wife said I'm handsome, so I feel better now. So love you, Sammy. Have fun with the kids. Looking forward to seeing you back home so we can play some Super Mario Galaxy 2 later. We finally got that story mode going. All right, enough's enough. Super chat from my brother, Matt Borgeson, the baller, always dropping money, making it rain with the super chats. Says, what up, Zittel? Are you going to be at Shakur versus Tiafimo? I'm going to be there. I got them front row seats. You are balling, Matt Borgeson. No, I'm not. You know, between the lack of access a lot of these Riyadh season cards have, and now we're looking at Fernando Diaz against Emmanuel Rodriquez. Emmanuel Rodriquez had that nasty first-round knockout loss to Naoya Inoue. But Manny Rodriguez from out in Puerto Rico, set to fight in a minute. We'll get to that action in a minute. But I won't be at Shakur Tio. A lot of the access they give media now is, what's the right word here? Limited. What's the word? Just, I'm not smart enough off top right now. Not as good as it used to be. So if you're spending a few nights in New York City, and you got between airfare and a couple of hotel rooms, it's hard to make your money back from covering the fight itself. And I want to be there. I wish I would be there. But I feel I got to make a business decision right now. Got a couple kids in private school where I got to manage finances. So I'm just going to stay home and do a live round by round and take whatever money we make that night and keep it pushing. Keep the money I'd use in expenses to go to New York and pocket it. But it sucks. I do wish I would be out there in New York City. I'm not going to lie. It does suck to miss a fight at Madison Square Garden of that magnitude. And then also all the critiquing of Riyadh season and stuff, you know, it's got to really be worth it for me to go out there if I'm going to also cover a card with that being a part of the dynamic. So I'll just stay home. But I hope you guys join me for the live round by round when we do that. Who is that Emmanuel Rodriguez's corner? God, who is that Puerto Rican fighter? I know him. I know him. Is it, I can't remember. My guy Diego Magdaleno fought him. I'd have to look him up. He fought on HBO a couple of times against Burgos, against Magdaleno. God, I can't remember. Can't remember who the Puerto Rican fighter. Help me out, Chad, if anyone's watching at home. I can't remember his name. But yeah, that's that. Christian Salvador says, the best reporter in boxing. Thank you for the super chat, Christian. The other two sold out to Saudi Arabia. Hey. You're only correct. I don't even know which two you're referencing, but most of them have, so I can't say you're wrong. Thank you for the super chat, Christian. Sportsmanship TV says, this fight reminds me of Matias Ergashev. I was going to bring up that fight because it makes me think that Matias should win this fight because Ergashev came out hot. He was a southpaw with a big left hand. He knocked Matias around with it a few times in round one. Matias smiled at him, took his best shot, and then proceeded to break him down. But Ergashev was a front runner ultimately, and I think that Dalton Smith is going to show more character than Ergashev did in that fight. But what it reminds me of it is Ergashev was he had some of that Eastern European rhythm and flow to him, but he was more of a up and down, hurt you with the brick hand, with the backhand, even though he's a southpaw kind of fighter. And Matias took his best shot and proceeded to break him down. It might be the same kind of scenario with Dalton Smith, but Matias is a little bit older, maybe a little bit more shop worn, to Teddy Atlas's point. And I think Dalton Smith is going to showcase more character in that ring than he did. But yeah, so oh man, got a huge super chat I'm going to get to right away, and then backtrack to 2 more super chats I got. Andy Gonzalez says you got a haircut. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Clap for myself. Christian Salvador said, I would like to sponsor your channel. Let me know how I can help Sean Zittel, the only reporter that is not sold out. Well, thank you, Christian, for the $50. You just bought the pay-per-view for us, for me tonight. Really grateful. I wish I had something super insightful and profound to offer you for your generosity, but I'm very grateful for that. My family is too. Got my wife in the chat. I know she's grateful too. So thank you, Christian Salvador. And, reach out to me on Instagram, something like that. Maybe we could set something up. I'm always kind of shy when it comes to sponsorships and things like that, and self-conscious about it. But I don't know how to thank you enough for dropping $50 in the super chat, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, Rocky something. That's right, the fighter behind him. But Christian, anything else you got to ask, save your money and just drop it in the normal chat, and I'll get right to it. But very grateful for what you got, man. And Matt Borgeson says, I got a Sean Zittel super chat budget. No, thank you, Matt Borgeson. I appreciate it, man. You guys are too kind. And down goes Diaz off a left hook from Manny Rodriquez here in round 1. Also, not only has this matchmaker has spammed Puerto Rico, Mexico, and I say that lovingly. It's been a wonderful thing to spam on tonight. It's led to nothing but fireworks, but wisely, it's been beneficial to the Puerto Rican fighters. So Fresh Productions, wasn't familiar with them coming in tonight, but they got some boxing IQ and some promotional IQ, because putting the show in Brooklyn and then loading it up with Puerto Rican fighters who are matched favorably, who can go out there and deliver big knockouts like they're delivering fight after fight after fight. I got to give them some props. For all I know, it's like most boxing promotions that it's like most sports. It could be a money laundering operation or something with some street dudes like BLK Prime felt like. But a tip of the hat to Fresh Promotions. This matchmaking, in terms of producing fireworks and in terms of it making sense in the market they're in tonight, has been fire. So another fireworks in round 1. Manny Rodriquez gets the knockdown right away. But again, just can't thank you enough, Christian Salvador. And let me get to BK Patarmagan says, thanks for the great boxing content. No, thank you, brother, for your for dropping the super chat in there. Okay, so I got a quick joke to make. Now, we all probably have seen the Adrian Broner, and again, kind of like what Nestor Bravo did to Pedro Campa earlier in the night. Rodriguez catching his man, opening up wide, and placing a left hook in between shots beautifully. Puerto Ricans got nasty left hooks. That's even Xander Zayas' best punch, even though he may not have produced a lot of knockouts on the highlight reel yet. Watching Xander win his title against a Mexican fighter, Garcia Perez, I notice his best shot when he gets leverage on it, and especially when he turns on a pivot with it and the other fighter doesn't see it coming, is his left hook. So Cotto, Trinidad, Xander, every Puerto Rican I've seen tonight, they got left hooks, and so do Mexicans. So you get a lot of hooking with a hooker and a lot of opportunities to knock someone out with a left hook. So it's been fun to watch. But all right, I want to thank you again. Oh, Black Patar McGinn, I'm sorry. Thank you, brother, for the super chat. But I'm gonna say, so I wanted to make a joke. I'm not being serious, but we all seen Adrian Broner recently with the what you guys got in your cup. He's like, they're like lemonade, and he's like, "We'll get some liquor and come back and talk to me." And I just think it's funny. He talks like he's from Atlanta, even though he's from Cincinnati. But the point is, once you get past maybe being bummed out to see Broner in the shape he's in these days and asking for liquor in the casino like that, because shout out to Broner. Say what you want about him, but I typically enjoyed my interactions with him and always thought he had a talent for humor. He always made us laugh. And I thought, get some liquor and come back and talk to me. I thought that was the latest in the line of AB quotables. So I'm not serious, but I told my wife before, what if I go in the chat tonight and I go, come back with a super chat and talk to me. It's all love. It's all love. But come back with a super chat and talk to me. That I kind of wanted to incorporate that joke tonight. It was, hold on, like let's see. Let's try it out real quick. Dead Phaleem says, what happened to your hair? Come back with super chat. Come talk to me. It's all love, but come back with a super chat and talk to me. So that's all. I think I thought once I got past feeling bummed out for Adrian Broner, I also thought that line was hilarious. It's up there with, y'all know I beat that boy. It's up there with, man, I'm getting cooked. It's up there with same thing. It's up there with, that ain't the money fight. The money fight's with Amir Khan. And I'll stop him. And so many more. I thought that was just the latest in the Adrian Broner quotable. So come back with a super chat and talk to me. That's the one we're referencing tonight. And I got to get to the Manny Rodriguez fight in just a second, but let me get through this round of the Manny Rodriguez fight, and let's get to everybody's super chat still. But Fernando Diaz getting backed up right now by Emmanuel Rodriguez, and you know, Rodriguez punching in between shots very well. Power looks good. With both hands right now, and this is a pretty good win, decent win at least on Inoue's resume. The fact that he took this dude out in one round, who won his title at bantamweight years ago in an upset over in the UK. You know, people talk about Inoue's resume, but that knocking out Manuel Rodriguez in one round was pretty beastly of the monster. So let's see what we got here. But Fernando Diaz is an overmatched opponent. 16 wins, 6 losses. Good hard right hand to the body by Emmanuel Rodriguez with about 18 seconds left. Touched with the left hand up top and then threw a hard right uppercut to the body. Staying right in front of Diaz. Looking like the bigger man. Backing him up. Another right uppercut to the body near the end of this round by Emmanuel Diaz. And he's in complete control after the first round knockdown. I don't know how, if he could stay to the body, Diaz is taking some deep breaths going back to the corner. He's overmatched, it would appear, tonight. But, all right, let me check out, where can I find this fight, says Selecta Styles. Thank you for the super chat. This is on ppv.com. Loke Tuapo said, what's up, Sean? What's up, Loke? Always good to see you, brother. What's up from Australia? Matt Borgerson, thank you for the super chat, says, yo, $55 is disgusting for this card, though. We should be getting paid for this undercard. Yeah, it's bad, but independent promoter, no network deal. This is the only way they can make the fight. And the reason why I made the joke earlier that maybe this is some street money laundering promotional company, because that's nothing new in boxing, and because there's no way they could like make a profit on tonight between the ticket sales and you know, this pay-per-view is going to sell very low. And I'm sure it's a sparse crowd, a passionate crowd of Puerto Rican fans who love boxing, and a few Brits that made the trek overseas, a passionate but sparse crowd. So to give them some slack, the only way they were going to be able to pay for any type of purse with this, or help pay it and maybe clean their money, was to, I should stop talking so much shit about that. I don't know what I'm talking about, truthfully. I'm just giving you some intuition, a hunch, without researching at all, which is unprofessional. But, yeah, I mean, without a network or anybody picking it up, oh, good double left hook by Emmanuel Rodriguez to the body and to the head in between shots, again, 30 seconds in the round. This is the only way they could put a fight like this together, a title fight. So they put it in the right area. The matchmaking has been exciting. So, got any thoughts on Nikita Tszyu versus Michael Zafara? I think Nikita Tszyu got some of the explosiveness, not as much that his brother and his dad had, but enough to be Michael Zafara, who is going to be a little bit rangier than him, have some height on him. But I think Nikita Tszyu should win that fight. 7219 says, stop snitching, bro. I will stop snitching. I'm done. The snitching is over. I just say what I think too much sometimes. But there you go. I'm not mad at them. It's not like they're subverting U.S. law or something like other companies. You know, they're just doing their thing. All right, but Emmanuel Rodriguez, got to get to another super chat or two after this round. But Rodriguez staying on the front foot against Diaz. Diaz actually landing a little bit more this round. And Rodriguez smothering him against the ropes with the clinch. But some of these shots have actually gotten through for Diaz this round. They trade jabs. Diaz stalking him on the front foot. Nice right hand lands for Diaz, taking something off the power and just touching Rodriguez over the top of that lower left hand. He's coming forward and it's fluctuating, keeping it up as he does it. Diaz that time popped him with a little short straight right hand, not a lot of power on it. Now Diaz getting off 4-punch combination. Rodriguez tries to respond with a left hook, but again, Diaz having a little bit more success here. Rodriguez countering with a left uppercut in between a straight right hand from him. Now a 1-2 and another 1-2 by Rodriguez, pinning Diaz against the ropes. Diaz getting cornered quite a bit right now, but fighting, punching with Rodriguez more and more and trying to work his way into the fight, making more two-way action, which he is doing this round. But Rodriguez still in control, positioning-wise, not letting Diaz really get back into the center of the ring. Now Diaz gets out to his left, but Rodriguez trying to punch in between his shots still. But Diaz getting his jab going a little bit more. 10 seconds left in the third round. Good jabs by Emmanuel Rodriguez, making the most of that height and reach advantage there. And that'll do it for the third. Let's keep it going with some of the chats. My man Matt Borgeson said, I got Dalton Smith knocking out Matias in less than 6 rounds. I think he's going to be washed up after wars and no PEDs plus gloves getting fixed up. We'll see. He's beatable. He lost to Petros Ananian. He lost to Liam Paro. His defense isn't very good. But, Matt, I'm going to go the other way on this one. I think that Matias will still win the fight. And I don't know, man. The boxing gods may want to give us the Pitbull Cruz fight. That fight would be pretty awesome. Dalton Smith might be standing in the way of something special. Some special fight of the year violence. So, and every now and then we love the Brits, but sometimes they come and they just give it a good go, yeah. And they don't come away with the win. We'll see. Matt Borgeson said, wasn't Emmanuel Rodriguez a dominant champ before Inoue absolutely made him spaz out on the canvas in round 1? Yes. He pulled off an upset to win the title overseas. I can't remember against who off top. I actually picked him in that fight by the upset. That was years ago. And then he disrespected the Monster's pops, and the Monster showed him he's nothing to play with and folded him with a body shot and had him thriving, in agony on the canvas with a nasty KO1 body shot. It was one of the I'm the man moments by Naoya Inoue. So, yeah, that definitely happened. But he was undefeated, and that was looked at, Jason Maloney, was it, Matt? Okay, he did that to Jason Maloney. Yeah, what's up, Mr. Quake? Yeah, so, that was a good win by the Monster. Oh, hard pull right hands by Emmanuel Rodriguez over the top of Diaz's jab about a minute into the 4th round. But Diaz has been hung tough since getting dropped in the 1st round. He's hanging tough. He's taking the shots well. And he's an American fighter. I assume Mexican-American. But, good right uppercut to the body again by Rodriguez. But Diaz is punching with him now. He's trying to punctuate the exchange there with a combination after eating that right uppercut to the body. Rodriguez lead left hook gets blocked. Diaz, showing some gumption in there. Not just wilting to the power shots of Emmanuel Rodriguez after getting dropped in the 1st round. Good jab by Rodriguez. Hard straight right hand by Rodriguez. Good sense of distance right there. Another right uppercut to the body by Rodriguez. But Diaz is starting to take these punches well. So he's giving a good account of himself, given that he's on paper overmatched. A little over a minute left in this 4th round. Diaz letting combinations go and touching up Rodriguez, who tried to hit him with a right hand and then pull out of range. But Diaz has got some quick hands. Not a lot of power, but some quick hands. I know some people were asking about the Cabiel fight. I'll talk about that in a minute. So, Mr. Quake, Happy New Year, Sean. Thank you, brother. Family's doing great. Thank you for asking. They're hanging out with Abuela and Abuelo and Mom tonight over in the outskirts of Vegas, visiting grandparents. But no, I give credit to Diaz, man. He looks like the smaller man, doesn't have a lot of power, but he's hanging tough and letting his combinations rip. Trade jabs again. 15 seconds left. Some good pull right hands. Not yet. Oh, good combination by Rodriguez, busting up after a pull right hand with a hard left hook to the body, left uppercut, splitting the high guard of Diaz. But Diaz again, man, is taking these punches well. And Rodriguez, something about his expression looks a little surprised. Looks like he thought he would already have him out of here by now. Is a little surprised this guy's hanging as tough as he is. And Diaz's body language is good. He's holding up well. May God bless you, says Bebop Jones. May God bless you too, brother. Thank you for coming in. Happy New Year's to you too. Matt Borgeson said, I'm just excited for Matias versus Pitbull or Matias versus the winner of Shakur Tio. Yeah, Shakur Matias would be interesting. I think Tio beats him. I think Tio has the perfect kind of style for Matias. He's a great counter puncher. Matias will give him all night to counter. I think, Shakur would be the favorite to beat him too. But it'd be interesting having a little bit more athletic version of Zepeda with more power. We saw how entertaining it was, Shakur versus Zepeda. And I think Zepeda is actually a little more defensively responsible than Matias. But Matias is a little bit more athletic, a little bit more speed to his combinations. But they're very similar in volume and all-out offense. And that was really fun to watch against Shakur. So I think Shakur would beat him too. But it would be fun to watch. And Tio, I feel like, would look like a star against Matias. There's a chance Matias would break him with pressure. But, I mean, that kind of pressure could be tough potentially for anyone. But I feel like Tio would look great against him. So, top flight fighters, elite fighters love that kind of style a lot of times, as we know. A guy coming forward all night, and they can show off their best stuff against a guy like that. Where can I buy the pay-per-views? As Jose Romero, it is at ppv.com. So let me see. But yeah, I would love to see Matias and Pitbull. That would be amazing. What's up, Boston's? Yo tú sabes, Bebop. Claro que sí. Well, that's more Cuban. But yo tú sabes, Bebop Jones, wepa. Let's go. Punch selection says Jennifer Lopez. So let's keep the action going here. Rodriguez cornering Diaz. Nice left hook to the body off the 1-2 up top. But again, Diaz is... Oh, he didn't like that body shot. Combination by Rodriguez in the corner. Right uppercut to the body to punctuate that combination. Straight right hand by Rodriguez. Lead left hook. Gets blocked a little bit. Diaz punching with him. Fighting to survive in this fight. Trying to keep his head above water as Rodriguez is trying to put together a few more combinations this round in spots to keep breaking him down. Keep his control asserted. Nice jab. Nice lead right hand by Rodriguez. Back comes Diaz, but Diaz is pinned against the corner in the ropes quite a bit again this round. Now he gets out of that corner a little bit. 55 seconds left in the 5th round. Diaz might want to try to the body a little bit too, but Rodriguez knows his sense of distance, has better reflexes, longer arms, and just a better fighter overall on a different level than Diaz, who's been plucky, who's had guts, who's had gumption and character in this fight after getting dropped. But yeah, good defense by Rodriguez there. Good radar, good sense of distance there, moving his head out of the way of some shots from Diaz in the center of the ring. And Diaz, Rodriguez also changing the levels with his punches and changing the leverage on his punches. He's not throwing everything hard. Some of these right hands he's throwing, he's just throwing out there as leads. And now left hook, right uppercut, left hook, double left hook by Emmanuel Rodriguez down the stretch of the round. And little subtle defensive maneuvers, getting his head off the line a little bit. Good stuff by the former champion, Emmanuel Rodriguez. So, any thoughts on Liam Paro versus Lewis Crocker, Big Boy Tenyo? I got to watch some more Lewis Crocker. I'm not going to lie to you. Got to watch some more tape on Lewis Crocker. Let me see. Punch selection, says Broner, doing a South Park parody. Why don't you get some liquor? Come back, Super Chat. Come talk to me. That's, I don't know. I liked it. But Titus, thank you, brother. Says, thank God you're calling the fight, brother. I got you. Thank God you're in the chat. Appreciate you, Titus. But yeah, I gotta watch some Lewis Crocker. But back to my man Matt Borgeson. Thank you, brother, for the super chat. Says, I think Tio's an elite counterpuncher, one of the best in the sport. He's got Crawford twitch reflexes with it. When he lets it go, it's pinpoint. No, he's an exquisite counterpuncher. There was a video I saw recently where Tio's good with the kids. Say what you want about him, but he's always been good to kids. I've seen it up close many times. He was showing a kid, certain things of the craft, and his pop said, the minute someone touches you, you know they're open. The minute you feel the touch, you know they're open, and that's when you punch. And I said, oh, well, there you go. That must have been part of what his father drilled into him since he was a kid, and helped him become a great counterpuncher. And part of why Crawford is the best counterpuncher of his era and one of the greatest counterpunchers of all time. Isao Diegas was a huge Juan Manuel Marquez fan. It's Red Spikes, Isao, led, by the way, by Brian McIntyre. But Isao loved Juan Manuel Marquez and said whenever he did the mitts with Terrence Crawford, the main guy that he emulated with his mitt coordination, let's call it, was Juan Manuel Marquez, who was, probably along with Floyd, the best counterpuncher of his era. So, yeah, I think Tio is an amazing counterpuncher. The problem is, we'll get more into Tio Shakur in a little bit. I've been meaning to drop a video about that fight lately, but just haven't. I did do one and just didn't like how I looked in it. I thought my new haircut looked pretty terrible at first. So now I feel a little bit better about it, so we can get to it. But I'll get back to Tio counterpunching in a minute. But Rodriquez has landed a lot of right uppercuts to the body in this fight. Kind of a unique punch to be landing a lot at different spots in the ring, in the center, pinning Diaz in the corners. But he's sneaking that shot in beautifully. But Diaz has been durable, man. He's been he is Mexican American. I can see the flag now on his trunks. Diaz and Rodriquez again has made the most of his size advantage at long range. He's making Diaz fall short a lot, but Diaz has quick hands. But he hasn't been able to touch him a lot. And Rodriquez has done a really good job. Good defense there by Rodriquez, slipping out of the way of 3 punches and with subtle head movement, not burning up too much energy with his defensive maneuvers there. And we'll get to that about Teofimo and Shakur too. But yeah, Rodriquez is winning this fight, but he might have to go the distance with this guy after it looked like it'd be another Puerto Rico knockout, because Diaz has been resourceful and has had enough offense to keep Rodriquez honest, to keep Rodriquez from just rolling downhill and completely having his way with him every second of the fight. So 20 seconds left in this 6th round. Nice 2-1-2 by Rodriquez. Straight right hand, jab, straight right hand, over the top again, keeping Diaz on the end of his length. But Diaz is eating the shots well and really giving everything he's got, man. Showing good character in this fight. I give him credit. He's losing every round. Outgunned in skill here a little bit, but given a very good account of himself, I think, for a fighter who's coming in on paper with the kind of record he has. But it's still all Emmanuel Rodriquez. Ruben says, Sean, you ready for Niners Eagles? Of course. But they pissed me the fuck off last week against Seattle. That shit was disgusting. Kyle Shanahan called a terrible game. Christian McCaffrey had 8 carries. So you wear the guy out with 1 million carries, 1 million touches overall all year. You give him like 30 to 40 touches every game. And then the biggest game of the year with Ricky Pearsall out, obviously Ayuk not around, and you hardly design anything for George. I think like one of the plays he designed for George Kittle was everybody behind the line of scrimmage and a screen to Kittle. Not smart. It looked like he hardly designed plays. Like, they were targeting Jawan Jennings most of the game, and they gave Christian McCaffrey 8 carries, and they ran the ball like 12 times without their 2 best receivers in, and with George Kittle just injured the week before. Kittle's your best target in the receiving game. You hardly design any plays with him as a primary option down the field or anything. That was a horrible game by Kyle Shanahan, and they had some disgusting plays in that game. 2 hard body shots by Rodriquez, but Diaz actually getting through with some uppercuts early in this round. But that 3rd and 17 was disgusting. Anyways, I know there's not a whole bunch of Niner fans in the chat, but it was disgusting. But yeah, I'm ready. I'll be watching the game tomorrow. And yes, bang, bang, Niner gang. So But I was disgusted by that loss, chat. I'm not going to lie. So, Sean, how long is Jermaine Franklin going to last against Itama? I don't think he makes it out of 5 or 6 rounds. That's just me. I think Itama is the truth. I think Itama is special. I do. And I think it's going to be Itama and Joseph Albignonga Jr. as the big heavyweight fight one day. Let's get back to the action here, and then I'll keep it flowing in the chat. But Diaz landed some good shots this round. Landed some uppercuts. Rodriquez placing hard body shot. Diaz is smothering Rodriquez now, getting on the inside. And I'm telling you, Rodriquez is getting a little bit more resistance than he thought he would get from this kid. I think he's a little surprised this kid's been as tough as he has, even though he's been in control throughout the fight. Looking at Diaz, Rodriquez right now, he doesn't look comfortable getting smothered right now as Diaz busts him up a little bit on the inside. Hard left hook to the body, but back comes Diaz to the body. I think this fight has gone on a little tougher and longer than Rodriquez want. Hard left hook to the body by Diaz. I don't think Rodriquez is liking some of this work. This is Diaz's best round. But it's Rodriquez against the ropes right now. Diaz, left hook to the body again. Combinations, pinning Rodriquez against the round. Sweeping right hand on the inside. Throwing hooks on the inside. This is sweeping right hand on the inside for Diaz again. This is the best round Diaz has had. And I'm telling you, Rodriquez doesn't like some of this two-way action, man. Some of these shots, he's feeling them. Oh, hard left hook by Diaz, getting off on the inside again in the center of the ring, backing Rodriquez up, smothering him in the phone booth. Man, Diaz is tough, man. Tough Mexican. Pinning Rodriquez on the rope some more. 30 seconds left. This is a Diaz round. And he's still got 3 rounds to work with after this. Rodriquez is getting his punches smothered and not being as accurate on the inside. Good left hook to the body by Rodriquez, but he's pinned against the ropes. And Diaz is being relentless this round. Pinning him from rope to rope. Working combinations. Good left uppercut on the inside by Rodriquez, but not getting the kind of leverage on some hard combination by Diaz with Rodriquez against the ropes. Right uppercut on the inside by Rodriquez. Exciting action down the stretch of this round. Right uppercut by Diaz, and Diaz looks at him like, I'm still here. I'm still here, and I'm not going anywhere. So Rodriquez has been dragged into a dogfight now with 3 rounds left in the fight. He's way ahead, but I told you, Diaz has been tough throughout, and he busted through with real success that round in the 7th. It's like he had been holding steady, chipping away, giving it what he can, not giving up, letting his hands go, and he finally got something done that round of significance. He won that round. Good stuff. What's up, Tay-Day? Good to see you, brother. T-Roy, Trouble T-Roy. It's like that, y'all. Says, hey, SZ, any interest in seeing Errol Spence make a return at 160? Adamas is a former 47. Lara is old and past it. Both are technically with PBC. Good bit of matchmaking by you, brother. But no, I'm not chomping at the bit to see Errol Spence fight again like that, if I'm being quite honest. But you know, I doubt he won. I have a feeling that's not the last time we'll see him in the ring. But man, as Chris Berman would say, tick, 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 tick. Like it's been 2.5 years since he fought, and he did not look good then. And he's already made a lot of money, and he's suffered a brutal fight to Crawford, the car crash. You know, I'm not dying to see him fight again, but I got a feeling he will fight again. So let's get back to the action in the 8th. They're throwing wicked exchanges in the center of the ring, both trading hooks, trading uppercuts. Rodriquez landing the harder shots, but Diaz is standing up to it, and I think Rodriquez is a little tired. So Rodriquez is a little tired by this busy pace, by this tough Mexican-American kid, Fernando Diaz, who's just being relentless and is smothering him now, busting him up on the inside with short shots now, backing him up into the corner, making him fight on his heels. Emmanuel Rodriquez being forced to fight on his heels a little bit, getting backed up, and not being able. Earlier when I was talking about his distance control, you know, that's been taken away from him now, and it's Diaz with more of the leverage inside, being the smaller man with shorter arms, getting better leverage on the inside right now in the 8th round. So, nice right uppercut by Diaz. Good right hand on the inside. Rodriquez trying to push. Hard left hook by Rodriquez. That stumbled Diaz. He taking it, though. 2 body shots by Rodriquez. Hard left hook up top and that right uppercut to the body. Beautiful ripping combinations by Rodriquez, who catches his breath for a minute there and lets him rip with precision and power. Good right uppercut to the body again by Rodriquez. He dips underneath on the inside. Tightens up a little bit on the inside. Keeps those hands and those elbows tucked in. Catches a right uppercut on the inside. Diaz backing him up, but that was a hell of a barrage by Emmanuel Rodriguez to regain his control at this point in the fight. That was some good combinations by him. Left hook up top, right uppercut up top. Punching off the combination of Diaz. Diaz getting lit up with a 4-punch combination on the inside. Right hand, left hook, right hand, left hook. Diaz, tough as hell though, smothering him. Sweeping shots on the inside. Trying to move his head around. Oh, hard left hook on the inside by Rodriquez now. Rodriquez is showing that championship pedigree, adjusting on the inside, finding a way to get a little bit of space and leverage on the inside now. Back comes Diaz with a 3-punch combination. Though, hard left hook on the inside, though, ripping combinations on the inside by Rodriquez. And I think Diaz is feeling these shots because he's leaving his chin in there on the inside, but he comes back and tries to, backs Rodriquez up on the ropes. Rodriquez rips a left hook with his back against the ropes. Diaz finally takes a step back. He's hurt. Diaz punching and fighting off instinct, though, with 12, 13 seconds left in this 8th round. Really good action down the stretch of this fight. And Rodriquez, though, totally regained control and made some nice adjustments. Was able to push off just enough on the inside and get leverage back on his shots instead of his shots being smothered. Beautiful stuff there by Emmanuel Rodriguez. I got him up 7 rounds to 1 and with a knockdown up 7 points. So that was some good shit. FMG Films, thank you, brother, for the super chat. Says, SZ, good to see you, brother. Thank you, man. Always good to see you in the chat, FMG Films. And, hey, what's up, Panama? Good to see my man, Panama. Keyshawn versus Ortiz is definitely the better fight. It's a shame Hitchens gets stuck with Duarte. I think, yeah, but at least we're not getting the Lindolfo Delgado fight. Lindolfo Delgado fancies himself as a guy who keeps you on the end of the shots, kind of has more long-range offense. There's no way he's going to outdo Richardson Hitchens at that. At least Duarte can try to execute some of what Lemos had success with and get on the inside with Hitchens. And I imagine Hitchens will win that fight, but Duarte is a better puncher than Lemos, is a little bit bigger than Lemos, so I think it's a better fight than Lindolfo Delgado. And Duarte's a more exciting fighter than Lindolfo Delgado. Gail, I love Gail. Gail, great to see you in the chat. Everyone, give a shout out to the Queen Gail, one of the queens of boxing media, along with Giandra, Lily, Cynthia Conte, and Michelle Phelps, a few others, all my homegirls. But we love Gail. Happy to have Gail in here. Gail says, Sean, I'm so glad that you're doing this. I just couldn't cough up the dough for the card. Well, we've had some really kind people in the chat, Gail, who helped foot the bill tonight, so I'm happy to do it. I really like the right uppercut to the body Emmanuel Rodriguez has been landing in this fight. He's had a good all-around skills in this fight. You know, Diaz rallied in the 7th round and early in the 8th round, but Rodriguez has reassumed control here. And it's just working better on the inside. He adjusted a little bit to being smothered. Needed a round or so to make that adjustment, and it's working. But again, to give Diaz full credit, this kid has walked through clean power shots. I'm talking getting caught in between with clean left hooks, withering right uppercuts to the body. And he's been relentless, man. He's had a lot of durability and a lot of gumption, but just, not winning. Nice quick combinations on the inside by both fighters. Rodriguez is, nice left uppercut by Rodriguez on the inside. And then but right back with a blistering combination is Diaz ripping shots, short inside shots by Diaz, who, again, 16-6, but has some quick hands when he lets his combinations rip. Just not heavy hands, not power on those shots. So, but Rodriguez, what he's doing at this point in the fight is, as Larry Merchant would say, husbanding his strength for accurate spurts. Hard right hand in between all these vicious exchanges, backs Diaz up, and then he gets right back into the line of fire. Hard right uppercut to the body. Big combination up top by Emmanuel Rodriguez. You can see the body wilting to the clean, effective power shots from Emmanuel Rodriguez for Diaz, but the mind and the spirit pushing him through it. You can see that. His body is caving in at times. His legs are buckling, but his spirit won't allow him to stop fighting. This is a guy that Rodriguez is going to have to, damn near render unconscious if he's going to knock him out. Diaz just seems so determined to see the final bell and make it a war. And he's a round away from doing it. 15 seconds left. Bleeding from his mouth. His brain has taken some trauma. It's been rattled around in this fight. Down the stretch of this fight, he has eaten some brutal combinations in between his shots. But you got to give Fernando Diaz credit, man. He nods his head, smiles a little bit, and the light is at the end of the tunnel. He's just got to make it through 3 more rounds. So, what do I think of Ramos versus Adames? I think Ramos can win that fight. Adames isn't a big 160. They both have come up from 154, but I think Ramos is bigger. He's younger. And Adames isn't that active. I mean, a lot of these guys aren't, especially with PBC, especially everybody really, but PBC definitely too. I think Ramos can win that fight. I think Ramos can beat Adames. I do. Adames is a little smaller, like I said. Ramos is a good boxer with good timing. He's not dynamic, and he needs to find another gear to his game. But he's a good boxer with good timing, and he's a little bigger, and he's younger. So I think Ramos could win that fight potentially. That's a good fight. I like the fight. Megan Campbell keeps saying Adames. That's fair. But I think potentially he could do it. I mean, Adames, it's really impressive the way he drew, and most people thought he won against Shiraz, given how electric Shiraz looked in his first fight at 68. I think he's at the weight class that benefits him more now instead of sucking down to 60. I think he sees that he coughed up an opportunity to be world champion against Adames, and it made him have more of a sense of urgency in that outing against Berlanga. But in retrospect, that's impressive that a small middleweight, who we know has power, but a small middleweight in Adames was able to draw with a big, hard-punching super middleweight in Shiraz. You got to give Adames props. But, yeah, Diaz is 2 minutes away from seeing the finish line and no sarcasm included, really scoring a moral victory here. Because for him to be outgunned on paper against a good former champion like Rodriquez and come in with a 6-loss record, 16 wins, only 6 knockouts. Oh, big left hook by Diaz, following Rodriquez out the back door, minute 40 left. But this kid deserves credit for his performance tonight, even though it's going to wind up being about 9-1, 8-2 with a knockdown for Rodriquez. I got to give him props. So, yeah, we're about halfway through the round now. Diaz smothers Rodriquez back into the ropes. Rodriquez ties him up, buys his time a little bit, and a spurt is coming from him again. Straight right hand, left hook, but Diaz taking the shots, catching some of them, still letting his hands go. Minute left in the fight. Now Rodriquez backs off a little bit, fights off his jab, straight right hand, uses his legs, circles out to his left, back in the center of the ring, picks his hands up, shoots his jab, steps off to his left again. And that's what Diaz has done. He has forced this former champion to go to deep waters. I think deeper waters than he really wanted to go to, or maybe expected to go to. And Rodriquez not really fighting for the knockout, not really fighting to close the show. His body language is saying, all right, enough's enough with this fucking kid. Let's get this win and call it a night. So, 30 seconds left. Good left hook to the body a minute ago by Rodriquez. Good combination on the inside. Good defense a little bit there. Swimming without getting wet by Diaz, and he punctuates the exchange with 20 seconds left with a combination of his own in the left hook. But Diaz, I give him credit, man. He earned his money tonight, 100%. 100%. And Rodriquez, if he wants to be champion again, will have to sum it up more than this. He was clearly a cut or two above Fernando Diaz and looked good in spots in this fight. But if he wants to be champ again, he'll have to pick it up a little bit more than that. This is, when you consider the baseline expectations of both fighters coming in, you're almost, that'd be a little harsh on Emmanuel Rodriquez, but you're almost a little more impressed with the performance by Fernando Diaz, because he was just so relentless and walked through so much punishment tonight and was outgunned in size a little bit, even though they're both 118 pounders. skills and punching power, but he showed so much character. And it was, down the stretch, it was Rodriguez who facially, expression-wise, looked a little bit more weary, even when he got back in full control in rounds 8 and 9 and hurt him a couple of times. So kind of like Shane Mosley Jr. against Ramos a month ago, where Ramos won 9-3, but you almost came away, speaking for myself, even more impressed with Shane Mosley Jr. because he's not expected to perform at the championship level, being a late starter like Jesus Ramos is, who's looked upon as a future champion. And all the punishment, kind of like Diaz tonight, he walked through so much punishment, and Mosley Jr. produced more rounds won than Diaz did, but you're almost more impressed by the guy who got dominated in a way, given, again, the expectations of both fighters. So, man, props to Fernando Diaz, man. That you gotta. I know it may seem a little weird to give props to a guy who ultimately got dominated, but he was a tough motherfucker who earned his money. So, yes, Pete Rock, CL Smooth, absolutely, all day. Man, I love Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Back at my mom's house in my old room, I have the main ingredient as a poster on the wall. Their last album from '94. The more iconic one is Mecca and the Soul Brother. They're the one that has Reminisce on it. But the main ingredient is one of the most underrated rap albums ever. So anyway, if you know, you know. But Ishmael Bermudez, good to see you in the chat, brother. And we could get to a lot of chats now in between fights and talk some other fights. But hey, Sean, I can't wait for the main event. I got Matias late stoppage. I'm with you. I tend to agree with you. Right below you is Ricky Cassidy saying, I'm going for Dalton tonight, outboxing Matias. I think that Matias, he has to be able to hurt Matias with his right hand in this fight. He's got to hurt him and win an exciting fashion type of fight. I don't think he has the feet, and doesn't have the southpaw angle advantage that Pero had. So I think he's got to hurt Matias in this fight. And Paro hurt him a couple of times too, but I think Paro's got a little bit more to his footwork game than Dalton, who's just more fundamentally sound, solid technically. But I think one of the things that makes me lean Matias's way, although Smith is fresher, he's 5 years younger, not as many wars, but I think that Matias, the volume, I think the difference in volume could sway it Matias's way, but I think it's going to be a good-ass fight. So, but I appreciate the super chat, Ishmael Bermudez. I think Matias is going to have to walk through some fire, but I think I lean towards him to win the fight. But it should be a good fight. So Ricky Cassidy mentions, will Matias be the same without PEDs in his system? But they're not out of the system. They let him fight anyways. So they're in there. That's kind of the funny part. So yeah. Yeah. Who won Diaz Rodriguez? Rodriguez won Calixto. Won handily. But again, major props to Fernando Diaz, man. You got to give props to fighters, even when they get dominated on the cards, when they give it all they got and make it a fight out of it. Again, Mosley Jr. Ramos, and tonight Fernando Diaz against Rodriguez. He made it a hell of a fight, and I'm telling you, he made Rodriguez have a little bit more than I think Rodriguez bargained for after dropping him in the first round. So that was good. Sean, is there an old school fight Matias and Pitbull would remind you of? Oh, man, not off top that I'm trying to think of. I think maybe a little Chico Castillo, maybe. Corrales was a more wiry, one-punch, harder puncher than Matias. I think Corrales was better than Matias. And I think Castillo was a little bit better than Pitbull. But kind of that, where Matias is this taller fighter willing to oblige to fight the shorter Mexican fighter on the inside tonight, all night. So Chico and Castillo, that turned out pretty damn good, right? I mean, to say the least, as an understatement. Again, from the sense of, and I think Chico was Cuban, Mexican, Matias obviously Puerto Rican. There's not as much of a height difference as there was in Chico. I mean, there's a bigger height difference between Matias and Pitbull, but I mean, off top, I think it could be that kind of phone booth war. between the two of them, god damn, the fact that I would even think of Chico Castillo and even think of comparing it to Matias and Pitbull shows you what an exciting style fight that could be. I think they'd be fighting on the inside most of the night. And I think I favor Pitbull. But then again, Angel Fierro cracked him with some good shots and showed he is human when it comes to punch resistance. He can be hurt. Fierro is really the only guy that ever hurt him. Tank never hit him clean enough to hurt him. Roach never really hurt him. He got his attention in the pocket, but never really hurt him. So, but again, Matias is more of an accumulation puncher. I think Fierro was hurting him with some of those uppercuts with a single shot power. So I think I'd favor Cruz over Matias. But then again, I could see Matias being a little bit more fluid with the combinations. But I think Cruz has better defense. He tucks his chin better. He doesn't fight as upright. And he's very explosive with one-punch power. I think, yeah, man, I would give the slightest of edges to Pitbull. I think he's a little bit better defensively than Matias. And Matias, who loves to dominate you on the inside, would be giving up leverage on the inside to the shorter Pitbull Cruz. But I could also see Matias overwhelming the bully on the inside and Pitbull Cruz. So, I mean, it would just be a hell of a fight, man. Gary Antoine Russell would be too much for Matias. I agree. I agree with that. I think Gary Antoine has more skills than Matias. He gets lower. His defense is better. And I really think Gary Antoine, he learned a lesson in losing to Puello. I think he could beat Puello in a rematch. I would favor him too. I think Gary Antoine is 100% the dark horse at 140. We know Richardson Hitchens is the brash New Yorker, Brooklyn stand-up, the excellent long-range, sharp, fast boxer. Teofimo is the lineal champ, the star. Shakur beats him, pound-for-pound elite star. Matias and Pitbull are super exciting warriors. But I think the dark horse who could upset all of those guys with bigger names is Gary Antoine Russell, for sure. I think he's the guy you avoid right now in the 140-pound division. But Andy Hiroka is not an easy night for him. Andy Hiroka is a tough fight for him. If he gets Hiroka in the United States, that benefits him a little bit as opposed to having to defend the title overseas. That would make it that much harder. Andy Hiroka is no slouch. He knocked out Jin Sasaki just like Brian Norman knocked out Jin Sasaki. He's no slouch. That's not an easy mandatory. But I think Gary Antoine is really good. So, and don't forget, he beat Boots and Hitchens in the amateurs. So Gary Antoine's a problem. So let me see. Big boy Toy Tenyo says, Sean Z, who do you want to see Fabio Wardley fight next? I mean, it sucks that they have the same trainer because I would like to see Fabio and Moses. But instead of that, let's get Fabio Wardley in an interim unification. No, he's the full champion now. I'm tripping. I think Cabiel's going to be elevated. I don't think Usyk, look, some people in my comments took it the wrong way when I said, I don't think Usyk's going to look Cabiel's direction. You got to look. Usyk being the stoic Ukrainian warrior, God-fearing man that he is, the all-time great that he is, the pound-for-pound king that he is, gets the fans that think he can do no wrong, that want to absolve him of anything, right? But the truth is, you got to peep how he's thinking of moving. Not how he's moving, how he's thinking of moving. I'm not going to say he's moving like it just yet, but he wants to fight a faded Wilder. Wilder's tank is very close to empty. He's not the threat with his right hand that he was before the third Fury fight anymore. Up until the third Fury fight. He's just not the same fighter. And unless he finds some miracle fountain of youth and can find his form and snap and speed back, he's done. He's done. And old school done. Damn near shot. And I don't say that with any disrespect to the Bronze Bomber. I got a lot of love for Wilder. He was a fun, extroverted world champion to cover in his prime. But his prime is long over. And it's not that I don't think Usyk could beat Cabiel, because I think he would. I think Usyk dialed in, up for the fight, like he was for Dubois last year. beats Cabiel. We're talking about a rugged, very legit, red-hot heavyweight contender against an all-time great, okay? We know there's levels to this. That phrase gets on my nerves a little bit because you hear it all the time, but it's true. And I think Usyk, dialed in, up for the fight, would beat Cabiel. But, and I said, oh, well, Usyk doesn't like it to the body, and Cabiel is excellent to the body, and people go, well, what is that? You bring it up to Daniel Dubois, low blow? No, I'm not. It's not that. I never brought, that's never been some talking point I've used against Usyk. He beat Dubois twice, handily. I'd never, whatever. It was close. It was a close shot, in real time especially, but I've never been hung up on that point. I just think Usyk doesn't particularly like it to the body. Who does? But I mean, no one's perfect. Even the best fighters have some type of small deficiencies, and Usyk's never been dropped to the body or nothing like that. But I think he's a little uncomfortable with heavy body shots. Cabiel is a potentially, at 38 years old, hellacious title defense. I don't think Usyk at 38 is itching to get in there with that kind of hellacious title defense right now. Not with the momentum Cabiel has, not with the style matchup. Cabiel has a relentless pace. Cabiel doesn't load up on shots. He throws with volume, and Cabiel is not one of these big heavyweights. He is Usyk size, and Terrence Crawford talked about that, about how Usyk's been feasting on bigger men who struggle with the feints, who struggle with the movement, struggle with the volume. I think all those things would be a problem too for Cabiel, but Cabiel not being as much of a giant as those guys, it presents a different equation in there. So I think Usyk has already gotten out in front of the Italma fight, and it's not like Italma is chomping at the bit to fight Usyk. It's not like he's clubber langing him and knocking on the door, begging for his shot at the champion. So I give Usyk that. But he's already kind of gotten out in front of it. Nah, we're not interested in the Italma fight. He knows how special that young man is. Italma is poised to take over the heavyweight division. In my opinion, it's only a matter of time. The boy is special. The young man is special. He's fundamentally sound. And this is what I want my man Joseph Awignonia Jr., who just won nationals last month. Joseph is just blown up into 6'5". He's an incredible athlete, great speed and power, and a sense of distance and athleticism. He's only 18 years old. I think he could win the gold medal for the United States. I'm projecting that one day Joseph and Moses is going to be the fight at heavyweight. But what Moses has that Joseph doesn't show me right now consistently is Moses has all the speed, the power, he has reflexes, timing, counterpunching, and he could fight from right here. Meaning he's also fundamentally sound to go with superlative talent. So I think Italma is the fucking goods. But he's still green. And not timid, but he's not trying to be Mike Tyson. There was talk of the youngest heavyweight champ like Tyson. He seems to feel and know that he's green and needs rounds and needs development before he fight. That's why he's not chomping at the bit, clubber langing Alexander Usyk. So, but my point is, Usyk got out in front of that monster early and said, he's kind of already thrown cold water on it. Now he wants to fight a faded Wilder. So what I'm getting at, because I'm long-winded, I think he may vacate the WBC title. And so to answer your question from 15 minutes ago about Fabio Wardley, let's see Fabio Wardley against Agit Kabayel. And then let's see Moses Italma get this Franklin fight in and another fight after that. And then let's see the young man challenge himself and show what he's really made of and fight the winner of that fight, Fabio Wardley against Agit Kabayel. And I think Wardley has a really good chance against Cabiel. I think Wardley has got underrated upper body maneuvers. I think he's a good pull counter puncher. He's not just a puncher. He has some good speed too. I think he's faster than Agit Kabayel. But Kabayel doesn't telegraph his punches. And his speed he's not the snappy, quick, fast kind of puncher, but he's a nice, easy, relaxed puncher. He doesn't load up. He's accurate. He doesn't telegraph his shots. And he's a hell of a combination puncher. One of the best body punchers in the sport. So, I think that's a hell of a matchup. I think Wardley's a little more athletic. Wardley has more of the upper body pull counter with power punches game. But Cabial is more consistent every round. You know, Wardley was blowing gas throughout large portions of the Parker fight, but would catch second and third and fourth and fifth wins and was resourceful. But I think if he loses steam, Cabial's not going to let him breathe like Joe Parker did, and he'll be in trouble in those scenarios. But he has some attributes that it's a hell of a fight. I think that'd be a hell of a fight. Fabio Wardley. Yes. Yes. Armelina. Yes. Fabio Wardley. God, Adam Smith, bro. Talk about a blowhard. I know he's a legend compared to me, and I'm just a little shit talking in my lower level part of my house right now. But my God, does he lay it on thick, doesn't he? Listening to his commentary today, I was just like, this dude. But he's Adam Smith. He's had a way better career than me. I acknowledge that. But man, he lays it on thick. But I would like Agit Cabial against Fabio Wardley. And I think Usyk may very well vacate. And that'll be a WBC, WBO unification. And then Itama should fight the winner of that fight. I think he beats him. Because I think Itama is a special talent. And then at that point, by next year, I think Itama and Usyk, it becomes a shit or get off the pot fight for Usyk. It becomes, you're still the champion, you're still the man, but you didn't fight Wardley, you didn't fight Cabial. They fought each other. Itama cleaned up, not your mess, but he cleaned up the fighters you put to the side to fight Wilder or whatever else he's going to do in the next 12 months. And I think at that point, it becomes, you either defend the shit or get off the pot. Either defend the title or come up off the title and retire or something. Because Itama is now ready. Itama is now ready for that fight. So that's how things rarely play out that cleanly in boxing. But that's what I would love to see. Wardley versus Cabial. Itama gets 2 fights in, including Franklin gets another fight in. Maybe a third fight, depending on the scheduling of it. And by the end of the year, by the end of the year, ideally, or early next year, because of how things move in boxing, Itama versus the winner, and then Itama Usyk. Because Usyk beats Itama right now, probably, yeah, I'd favor him. Kid's too green, as talented as he is. But 18 months from now, with real experience against real guys, I think Itama will be ready to knock Usyk off. And I think that's part of why Usyk got out in front of him. And but that's just my opinion. Hey, is my guy Cigar Talk in here? He is. Hey, Cigar Talk is standing on business. He says Cabial, the best heavyweight in the game. He's red hot. He has a very interesting, dangerous style matchup for the champion. I don't think the champion's going to look his way right now. I think he may vacate the WBC title. But Najee, no one's going to stop Moses. He is going to part the Red Sea in the heavyweight division, okay? No one's stopping Moses from Lord forgive me. I'm not trying to be blasphemous, but Moses Itama is coming down to hand out the 10 commandments in the heavyweight division, and nobody's going to stop that. I'm sorry. Watch what Itama does to Jermaine Franklin. Now, if Jermaine Franklin, who's a resourceful heavyweight, who took Joshua 12 rounds, if he makes Itama come back to earth and makes us pump the brakes a little bit, okay. But I think he's going to handle his business in 5 or 6 rounds or less against Jermaine Franklin. And Itama's a problem, bro. And he hasn't even gotten all his baby fat off yet. So I think Itama's a problem, bro. I think he's got a naturally smart fighter with really sick speed and power, skills, fundamentally sound. He is a problem. I think the number one thing I could question about him right now, besides needing the experience, level of opposition, rounds fought, is his confidence. He hasn't been chomping at the bit for Usyk. He's not banging that door down by any means. So does he believe he's as good as I believe he is? But he is a fucking problem, Najee. And he is going to part the Red Sea. He is going to part the sea in the heavyweight division. Fresh sports clip haircut. Oh, don't do me like that. I'm sorry. The super cuts haircut, huh? We improvised the haircut halfway through. We didn't know we were going to get it that short heading in. Okay, we improvised. Hold on, let me try and fix it a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. But the locks will return. If you like the short haircut, enjoy it while you can, because the flowing locks, the luscious locks will return. But I mean, Cabiel, yeah, man. I think Cabiel isn't gonna get. I think he's gonna make Usyk come off the WBC title. But again, Najee, I think Usyk dialed up and wanting the fight. I'd still give him the edge to beat Cabiel. So Sean, you just out Adam Smith. Adam Smith. What a crowd in Germany! I'm not even in the mood. I'm not. I have to be feeling it to do some of these impersonations. Hey, my boy True School is in the chat. True School is actually there in Brooklyn, Vietnam. He says, big ups to my man Sean to tell him, holding it down here in Brooklyn. Keep up the great work. It's our era. It's our era. Najee's era too. But we're trying to make it our era. Malcolm X, what's up, Malcolm X Box? Love to see you, man. Says Bears just scored their first touchdown, 21-15 Packers. You know, I expected the Bears to win that one. Don't say Peter Parker is still trolling Sports Network. Don't do that, please. I literally told the girl Itzia that cuts my hair, I said, part of why we're cutting the bangs a little shorter is we're trying to avoid that Spider-Man 3 Tobey Maguire look where he looks emo. And you just said I look like it anyways. It defeated the whole fucking purpose. Oh, well. Tip Bayless. What's up, Tip Bayless? Says, upset tonight, Sean? Possible. But I think Matias with the volume will still overwhelm Dalton Smith. But interestingly enough, even though Matias is the knockout artist, again, he's an accumulation knockout artist. I think single punch power with the right hand, Dalton Smith might actually be the guy with more power, just with one punch power. But, yeah, I could see Dalton Smith definitely winning this fight, man. He is fresher, younger. I think he's got good power, kind of underrated speed. The shots don't come out slow. But if he can't hurt Matias, he's a little too patient with his volume. I mean, that last guy he fought, Mathieu Germain, that guy from Canada shouldn't have went 12 rounds with him. He should have got him out of there. But he doesn't put together enough combinations. He's very selective and kind of economical with his punches. Good accuracy, good body puncher too. But case in point, you know, that guy shouldn't have made it into the 12th round with him. Matias wouldn't have let him go into the 12th round. That's what styles make fights. But Matias, if he wins, that volume is going to be a little bit much. I think that pace will be a little bit much for Dalton Smith. But I can see Dalton Smith hurting him and investing to the body well and hurting him with his right hand. He's got a left hook too, but I like his right hand better. This should be a good fight. I think Dalton Smith stands a good chance, but I got Matias. Najee, who do you got? I'm curious. Najee bets well. Najee's had a hotter hand than me with a lot of picks. I want to know. Kaisu says, these UK boys are tough. Y'all can't see it. These new UK boys, Sam Noakes, Hamza Shiraz, Dalton Smith, Adam Azim, are different. So, Jaime Padilla with the Puerto Rican flags. All right, let's start a poll. Get it in now. Who wins? Dalton Smith. Adam Smith voice. Puerto Rico. Oh, okay. There you go. Let's get the super chats in and see who you guys all got. Goat says, what's up, Uncle Sean? I am an Unk now, aren't I? I turned 35 this year in August. I am officially an Unk. I embrace it. Unk status. I'm with it. Sean, Tobey Maguire, don't do that. Don't do that to me. Please. We literally cut it shorter to avoid that comparison, and you're doing it anyways. But I got to live with it. I just can't win. I get a haircut. You guys clown me. I keep it long. You guys clown. I just can't win. You know what? They always got something to say. I'm going to go Floyd Mayweather. They're always going to have something to say. That's okay. We're the best. All right, here comes Dalton Smith to the ring now. Blue robe coming in. And he looks ready to fight. Kid comes in with character. Teddy Atlas, who's been on fire with his picks, they actually picked him to win the fight, I believe. So Dalton Smith steps through the ropes, kisses his gloves up. From Sheffield, England, shout out to Prince Nassim Hamed, who had his movie come out. My boy True School had a great interview with him. I do think he's more punch for punch, the sharper guy. Matias has to get rolling with multiple punches, with combinations to get his best offense out. Stop that. How does a Brit have a better haircut than Sean? Look, I think, I was just starting to feel good about it until you guys, hold on, let's go. All right, man. No, you're right. I'm making it worse. I just made it worse. That's okay. It's okay. It's not important. Commentary is important. Get this. You guys are fucking me up. In the chat. Ugh. All right. Fuck me up. I just made it worse. I just made it look worse. See? You guys proud of yourselves? You made it look worse. It looked good a minute ago. Anyway. Enough of it. Enough. Here comes Subriel Matias. Coming to the ring now. Matias got a good sweat worked up. You do got to wonder, again, Matias, he comes in upright. His offense is his defense. Yeah, he's got some catch game once he gets flowing on offense, once he catches some rhythm. But everything comes off the offense. And he does stand upright, and he's very hittable, very beatable, but also very dangerous and very tough to deal with his pressure and his volume and his accumulative punching power. And he's got some quickness to him. Once he gets rolling, his speed gets better the more he could get his output going. He's got some athleticism once he gets rolling. But again, he's got a lot of holes in his game too. That's what makes him exciting. He hits a lot and gets hit a lot. So, hey, thank you, Gail. Gail said these guys don't know shit about hairstyle. Damn casuals. It's looking fine. So there you go. They don't understand. They don't understand the hairstyle, Gail. They don't understand. They always got something to say. Pretty boy Sean. I'm the best. Creme de la creme. Flashy. All that. So, yeah, they have began the walkout, King pound for pound. You got Dalton Smith in the ring, and now here comes the champion, the WBC super lightweight champion, Subriel Matias. Matias had a nice little career, man. Former IBF champion. He's got the glamour belt, although the glamour belt continues to do everything it can to not make itself the glamour belt anymore. The WBC super lightweight title. Matias fighting in front of home crowd. This didn't go well for him last time he fought in front of his crowd against Liam Paro. That was supposed to be a homecoming fight. This is take two. Take two of a world title defense as a favorite in front of a lot of Puerto Rican fans. Last time this scenario didn't go well against a Commonwealth fighter. It was an Australian. This time it's a Brit. He's taking selfies on the way to the ring. I don't know if I like that. That's kind of Vernon Forrest coming to the ring, singing songs before getting upset by Mayorga vibes. You should probably skip the selfies from now and get to the ring. Maker's saying that's a hell of a haircut in his Floyd Mayweather. Hell of a good little haircut. Good little haircut. It's a good little haircut. So it's a hell of a haircut. See, I know you're dissing me, Maker, because that's what Floyd said right before he beat the shit out of somebody and didn't really think they were on his level. So I know it's a backhanded compliment. Okay? She's not an old lady. You guys are taking me off the game. All right, the champion steps through the ropes. Subriel Matias. Again, popped for Ostarine before this fight. Popped for gloves the commission didn't want to let him go through. Is there some karmic resolution coming his way? Taking selfies on the way to the ring. Maybe didn't learn his lesson the last time he wanted to show out in a homecoming type fight. We'll see. Maybe some foreshadowing that he's about to get upset for a world title for the second time. We'll see. So Anglo, the 1975 locks will return. So here we go. Puerto Rico in the house. And this should be a good fight. That I am certain. Not fully certain who's going to win. Not picking Matias going away. Tay says, I got Dalton, man. Day-K says, let's go, papi. Vámonos, papi. Let's see. Oh, ppv.com. We don't have Maria in the chat tonight. We have to put you in timeout, sir. We got to hide the user from the channel. Cannot spam. Got over 500 people in here. That is dope. Here we go. Mr. Swisher with another Peter Parker reference. Okay, sir. Adam says, go Dalton. All right, I'm looking forward to this fight. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. It's actually been a good card. So, Matias gets his chain removed, takes the ice off. Dalton Smith been coming in with, Eye of the Tiger. Looks ready to take his shot. He's been a well-promoted, hyped young fighter from the UK for some years now, and this is his moment to make it happen. He came overseas and wants to leave this world champion. Let's see if he gets it. So, super chat, again, from my man Christian Salvador. Thank you, brother. It says, where can I watch the fight? It is on ppv.com. So, yeah, maybe let me drop the link right here. Drop the link right here. Bang, bang, Niner Gang. There it is. I also have to show you guys off a dope jacket I got. I'm going to do it quickly before we get the fight started. Now, you guys know I'm a Niner fan, but I also happen to love the Miami Dolphins jerseys and old school colors. Peep the jacket. Oh, make fun of that. You can't make fun of that like you made fun of my haircut. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Swagalicious. Mad Stilo. Let's go. Golf Wang. I didn't even know that was a Tyler, the Creator thing. I just saw it. I liked it. I bought it. That's how that went. Couldn't even really afford it right now, but had to have it. Instant cop. All right, Dalton Smith now shaking up in the ring. Getting ready. Got the Brits ringside cheering him on. Crosses himself up. Got the cross around his neck. So here we go. Sean, do you have any cross colors? No, I've never wore cross colors, but I think to make a lot of people cringe in the 90s, I probably would have wore it if I was of age. Gotten the side eye. I mean, it's bad enough I have Carl Kanai sweaters, so yes. All right, here we go. Yes, leather sleeves, Malcolm X, all day. Matias now in the ring. Gotta wonder if he's a little flat for this assignment. Matias takes a deep breath. Dalton Smith, we do armchair psychology for fun before the bell rings. Got a little bit more of that classic Eye of the Tiger look to him. Matias nodding around a little bit. The Puerto Rican fans are excited. They've been pitching a shutout tonight. All the Puerto Rican fighters have won. But this is the toughest matchup on them on the card. So we'll see what we got. So here we go. Sean, I'm not emo. Still trolling. You are living up to your name. You are trolling me very well. So, all right, Matias now locks in on Dalton Smith. Dalton Smith looks ready for the smoke. Matias loves to be that intimidating presence in the ring. All right, they touch gloves, and let's get to the important part of the night now. Let's get it. All right. Even in reach. Dalton Smith 2 inches taller. Dalton Smith 5 years younger. Both have a 71-inch reach. And let's see, Matias a 3-1 favorite. But again, Smith, the younger, fresher fighter. A little bit of height advantage. And let's get to the fun part of the night now. Let's go. Round 1. And Matias coming forward. Smith not really giving ground. They start in the center of the ring. 1-2 by Smith. Nice 1-2 to get him started. Splitting the guard a little bit to get himself started. Smith not giving up ground. Staying right in front. Nice right hand to the body by Dalton Smith off a touch left hook up top. Smith off to a good start in this fight. Out of the gate. Now Smith steps over to his left. Good jab by Subriel Matias. Oh, hard right hand over the top of the guard for Dalton Smith. Sweep the shot a little bit. Good start by Dalton Smith to start this fight. Matias, kind of like the Ergashev fight, might have to weather that storm early on. Eat some right hands before he can get flowing downhill. And Smith trading jabs. Matias getting the better of that. Smith walking over to his left, stepping over his left. 2-1 by Dalton Smith and a jab to the body. That time the 2-1 caught on the high guard. Another sweeping right hand over the top for Dalton Smith. Matias rolls the shot a little bit, but it's Dalton Smith getting off first. Nice stab jab to the body by Dalton Smith. Good boxing by him early on. Stepping over to his right. Keeping Matias on the end of his jab. Smith looking sharp to start the fight. Now Matias comes forward with a double jab. Back with a stab jab to the body as Smith sweeps the right hand around. Matias catches it. Matias doesn't look good in round one. And that's been the case for him in fights like the Ergashev fight. But early on, Smith getting off first. Smith stepping over to his left. Switches southpaw for a second. Squares his feet up. Stays southpaw. Steps over to his left. Now steps over to his right. Moving in both directions early. Back in the orthodox stance. They trade jabs. Smith with another good jab to the body and a right uppercut. And that got an attention out of the legs of Matias. Smith landing his jab too. Smith is looking good in round one. Not looking good for Matias out the gates. Smith landing his jab to the body again. Stepping over to his left. Sweeping right hand. Matias blocks it. But Matias looking flat in round one. Good jab by Smith. Knocks the head up of Matias. Matias coming forward but plodding forward. And his legs and balance don't look good in round one. This is not a good start for the champion. Nice jab again for Dalton Smith. Right hand over the top for Dalton Smith. They trade jabs. And Matias doesn't look sharp in round one. Smith stepping over to his right. Doing a good job not moving to one direction too long. Right hand blocked for Matias. Matias left hook blocks again for Matias. But Smith getting off first. Sweeping right hand for Smith. They trade jabs. Smith doubling up his left hook, touching with it, gets out to the center of the ring, sweeps the right hand of the body, shoots his jab up top. Matias just coming forward, not getting any punches off just yet. 1-2 for Smith, backs Matias off. Matias's legs not looking good in round one. And that'll do it. A very decisive opening round for the challenger, Dalton Smith. 10-9 to get himself started. Matias... The difference between the first round of the Ergashev fight and this is Matias had a confidence to him while Ergashev was popping him with brick hands, with the backhand, and getting off first. This round, not the same kind of swagger, intimidating downhill swagger from Subriel Matias in round one, and a little bit of reddening around his left eye from some of those right hands over the top from Dalton Smith. That was a really excellent first round for Dalton Smith. 10-9 to the challenger. So... let's see. Yeah, that's sweeping right hand right over the top of the high guard. And Smith not throwing it straight, not throwing it like a hook, but just sweeping it around the guard. A little bit of an overhand shot, beautifully placed around the guard of Subriel Matias. So that was good stuff, man. That was good. Looking good for Smith out the gate. Round two. About to get started. Round two. Here we go. They trade jabs. They do good jabs by Matias to get him started. Smith tries to sweep the shots again, but he has to tie Matias up and not let Matias start to put combinations together after that jab. Jab to the body and a sweeping right hand by by Dalton Smith. Now Matias lands his jab. Dalton Smith back with his own jab. Sweeping right hand again for Dalton Smith, but this time Matias catching some of those shots and beginning to get some accuracy going with the jab to start. And trying to speed Smith up. Smith sweeping right hands around the high guard again. Matias blocking them, but partially it's getting through. Now Matias coming forward behind his jab a little bit. Getting a little bit of momentum coming forward. Catching the shots by Dalton Smith. Smith moving out to his right and is forced to clinch Matias. Can Smith deal with that eventual downhill pressure and volume of Matias? Matias is speeding him up a little bit this round. Jab, sweeping right hand by Smith. But again, Matias is getting closer now. Smith is holding a lot to start this round. Might be a little bit uncomfortable with Matias getting closer to him now. And they separate. Back in the center of the ring. Smith almost punching to the back of the head. Now sweeps a right hand to the body. But and clinches Matias again. If he keeps clinching like that, the referee may have to warn him. And Matias already looking at the ref to say, hey, he's tying me up a lot. Hook off the jab by Smith. Right hand by Smith. But Matias catching these shots on the gloves a little bit better. Now Matias drops his lead hand for the first time. Hard left hook on the inside for Smith as Matias drops that right hand. But Matias is putting together some shots on the inside now and forcing Smith to hold a little excessively in the second round. Hard left hook to the body by Dalton Smith with a little bit of separation between them. Right hand to the body by Dalton Smith. Hard left hook, though, to the body by Matias. And Matias rips his first effective combination of the fight. Matias trying to catch and parry his way in now. Smith still effective. Right uppercut on the inside for Smith, but Matias is speeding him up, is making him have to maybe use a little bit more output than he wants. Fight heating up. Smith's getting off first, but Matias beginning to catch and parry a little bit better. Works his double jab. Lands his jab this time. Backing Smith up. Smothering some of the punches. 2 hard body shots on the inside by Matias. Matias landing his jab. Getting a little bit more volume done now. Landing his jab again. Chopping right hand by Matias. And Smith ties up. 25 seconds left of the round. Smith looking a little uncomfortable by the volume and the pressure. Smith ties up Matias again. Short left hook lands for Matias. Another short left hook lands for Matias. Without a lot of leverage. He doesn't need a lot of leverage. Right hand lands on the inside off the jab by Matias. Better work down the stretch. Hard left hook to the body on the inside by Smith. But again, Smith with a little bit of ketchup, a little bit of blood coming from his right nostril. And that was a much more competitive round for the champion. Close round, close round, close round. I feel Matias sped him up, dictated the pace and the range a little bit more. Smith may have still won it, may have gotten some of the cleaner work done, but that is a close-ish round. Either 2-zip or 1-1. Good left hook to the body on the replay. Good combination by Matias halfway through that round against Dalton Smith. Didn't love some of the body language there by Dalton Smith. Yeah, I'll edge that round to the champion. Edge it to him. Edge it to him. I will edge this a little bit to the champion that round. Close round though. Not inconceivable to give it to Smith, but the slow-mo replays giving some of the edge to Subriel Matias there. So let's see what we get in round 3. Smith has to reestablish some of the control he had in round 1. 1-2-1 by Dalton Smith. Sweeping right hand. Now a hard jab though by Matias and a short left hook off that jab. Matias works 2 body shots in the clinch a little bit far to the outside. Hard left hook to the body inside by Dalton Smith. Matias coming downhill, lands his jab, eats a left hook though. Left hook to the body by Matias. Hard left uppercut by Matias. Starting to rip combinations. Smith eating shots on the inside. Some uppercuts. And not as effective on the inside with the short shots as Matias working his right hand in the clinch. And now the deep waters already begin for the challenger. Smith ties up Matias. Matias starting to look menacing in there. Chopping right hand to the body using a post, as they call it, on the inside against Dalton Smith. Dalton Smith leads with the left hook. Fires the sweeping right hand, but Matias is catching these shots better than he did in round 1. Short little knifing body shot in the clinch by Matias. Left hook by Dalton Smith out of the clinch, and Matias responds. Matias, now both fighters getting warned by the referee. Both are fighting punching to the back of the head at the times. Both punched off the clinch that time, bunched off the break, but it's a fight. Matias catching these shots better on the high guard now. Lands his jab. That jab is getting him working now. Oh, counter left hook by Matias. Checks Dalton Smith with it. Takes a little step back as Smith fell in with his punches and checked him with a left hook. Matias off to a better round than Smith is in the third. More accurate, more head-snapping shots as he begins to catch these shots on the gloves better. Smith in the clinch, getting hammered with the left hook in the clinch. Chopping right hand to the body in the clinch for Matias. It's a low shot, but a left hook up top for Dalton Smith. Back to the pit of the stomach, and a right uppercut comes Matias. Left hook up top for Smith as he smothers Matias against the ropes. Matias working a little more effectively with the free hands in the clinch. Short shots on the inside by Matias. Short left hook for Matias. Matias getting some of those combinations rolling. Dalton Smith ties Matias up. Matias looking at the corner. Matias has to take a deep breath. This is a hell of a pace for both fighters. Smith working first, but Matias catching some of those shots. Some of them are getting through though. It's partial lands for Smith as opposed to those clean lands in round 1. Matias bangs his gloves forward. Chopping right hand to the body by Dalton Smith. Left hook up top. Matias touches the body in between. Both guys landing leather. Hard left hook to the body by Dalton Smith as he pushes off on Matias. Good jab by Dalton Smith. Lifts up the head of the champion. Hard left hook back by Matias. But they're exchanging. Dalton Smith investing in the body. Left hook lands for Dalton Smith. Smith, though, eats a right hand left hook, and that hurts him. Smith is a little hurt. His legs were affected. He comes back with a right hand. Both fighters landing really good shots in the third round. It's a war. 10 seconds left in the round. A Matias round, but Smith landing some hard shots, but Matias punctuating better and working in the clinch better. Hard right hand by Dalton Smith as he eats a left hook, but he punctuates with his own right hand. It's a war. They're both feeling it, but this is Matias's kind of fight. Smith hasn't been able to tame the beast. I got it 2-1 for Subriel Matias, but he's getting lit up too. He's bleeding from the mouth too. He's got some swelling around the left eye too. So thank you. And Maker, thank you for the super chat. Says, great work, Sean. This brother doesn't miss a moment. No, this is a dog fight. Thank you for the super chat. We got almost 800 people in here now. This is a dog fight, but this is the kind of fight you would think favors the champion, but he's eating some leather in there too, man. He's eating some clean shots. But I like the work of Matias just a little bit more. A little bit more of those short chopping, inside head snapping shots by Matias. And he did buckle Smith halfway through the round with a right uppercut and a combination. So I got it 2-1 Matias. I'm not mad at 2-1 Smith. Round 4, here we go. They trade jabs. Oh, vicious exchanges to get this fight started, to get this round started. But it's Smith who has to cover up and clinch. And Matias investing with little short chopping shots in that clip. Big left hook and a whiff and a miss by Dalton Smith. And he clinches Matias now on the inside. Short left hook out of the clinch for Matias. Matias looks a little tired himself. This isn't easy on either fighter right now. So does some of that wear and tear of Matias show up here? Because Matias looks a little... Oh, short chopping right hand pushes Smith back. And they trade jab. Nice double, triple jab by Matias. And a short chopping right hand to the body and a short chopping left hook up top. But Smith tries to punctuate the right hand. Smith's body language looking better. Hard right hand by Dalton Smith. Matias catches the left hook. Eats a jab. Coming forward. Doubles. Triples up his jab. Hooks off the jab does Dalton Smith though. Smith looking a little bit fresher all of a sudden in the 4th round. Ebbs and flows. Matias not as fresh as he was from the Puello fight. That was a good point by Teddy Atlas coming in. Straight right hand lands for Matias. Smith ties him up, but Smith's body language looks a little bit better in the 4th round. Right uppercut, left hook for Dalton Smith. Oh, beautiful right uppercut, left hook by Subriel Matias on the inside. Smith has to retreat a little, but he punches in between and comes back with his own right uppercut and left hook. Great action halfway through. Smith's body language is holding on strong now. Stronger than it did in the 3rd. Hard right uppercut to the body and a left hook up top for Smith. Smith with a chopping right hand, backing Matias up. Matias in the corner. Both fighters tying up, but something about Smith's body language actually looks a little bit better in the 4th. Matias, eats a right hand. Eats a jab off that right hand. Matias eating some hard shots this round. Both fighters are. Matias with a little bit of an edge in this round, but the body language is a little bit better for Smith. Hard right hand, left hook by Matias, but Smith is punctuating the exchange, coming back with his own work. Hard right uppercut, left hook, straight right hand by Matias. But Smith is beginning to eat the shots better. He lands a hard left hook in between on Subriel Matias. I feel like Smith is taking the shots better, even though it's a Matias round. And Matias looks a little weary, body language-wise. A little more limp. Hard right uppercut, left hook on the inside by Matias. Ripping uppercuts, but Smith looks determined. He's eating the shots and walking through Matias a little bit. And Matias looks tired. Matias, 10 seconds left. He's going to win this round. Short right hand again. Smith ties him up. But Smith looks determined to... Oh, hard left hook by Smith and a right hand by Smith. Matias looks hurt at the bell. And Smith looks determined, bleeding from his right eye. I gave the round to Matias. But the body language of Matias isn't looking good. And the body language of Smith looks very determined to weather this storm and come out of this fight with that title. We're heading into the 5th. I got it 39-37 Matias. Or 38-38 even, but I think something about Smith looked healthier down the stretch of that round. Straight right hand by Smith on the slow-mo. Matias, Short right uppercut, left hook on the slow-mo, head snapping shots, but not as much steam in this point of the fight that we saw in the Puello fight, and Smith hurt Matias on the ropes at the end of that round. I don't know, guys. It's looking dicey for Matias, even though he's coming off a round I think he may have won. We're going to see about it. Round 5. And there's a fight breaking out at the Barclays Center. In the front row. Left hook to the body by Matias. Matias got to pace himself a little bit. Nice combination on the inside by Matias. But a hard right hand catches him in between. Right uppercut, left hook by Smith. And Smith controlling with the clinch now. Not clinching out of desperation. Smith blocking the body shots. Starting to punctuate these exchange. Hard right uppercut, left hooks on the inside. Clean head snapping shots. But Smith is smothering those punches a little bit now. Hard left hook by Matias, but he's being forced backward. And a hard left hook to the body. Matias has got to be feeling that and hurt by Dalton Smith. Smith has more snap on his punches right now. Matias is looking weary. Matias takes a deep breath. Smith getting off first. Short left hook lands for Matias. Matias is still snapping that head around, but Smith is tucking his chin better. They trade left hooks. Oh, beautiful three-punch combination. Beautiful two-piece combination by Matias, but it's Smith walking through the fire and punctuating. Matias is outlanding him, but the body language isn't good. Another right uppercut by Matias. Matias is landing short left hook by Matias, and I don't think Smith liked that one, but Smith is staying on top of him, smothering the power as good as he can, but he is eating clean leather by Matias. Matias is winning the 5th round. Short left hook by Matias on the inside. His back is pinned against the ropes. It is an all-out war. All-out war. Back in the center of the ring. Matias winning the round. Nice left hook lands off the right hand for Dalton Smith. Smith has to go back to the body. Minute left in the 5th round. All-out war. Big right hand by Dalton Smith. Another big right hand. Matias is hurt. He's on bad legs. Down goes Matias off the right hand. And he is exhausted. Matias was winning the round, but I told you his body language slipped. Matias looks out of it. The referee stops the fight. It's a 5th round knockout. I think the stoppage is a little bit bad, but Matias was out on his feet, and Dalton Smith weathers the storm and knocks out Subriel Matias with the right hand. Beautiful fight. What a what gumption by Dalton Smith. He had to weather the storm. He knocks him. I said before the fight that I thought that volume would be the edge for Matias, and it was winning him rounds. He was winning battles, but losing the war. And at some point in the 4th round, Dalton Smith made his mind up that he wasn't going anywhere. Shout out to Teddy Atlas. He called this fight beautifully, nailed it. And I said Smith was going to have to hurt him and maybe knock him out with the right hand, and he did. But anyways, what a performance, what a fight. I think Matias was outlanding him. Even in the round he got knocked out in. But his body language was going more and more limp. He wasn't as strong and as sturdy as he was in the Alberto Puello fight. And Smith was the fresher, hungrier, sturdier fighter. And this one was about who could take the shot better. And Dalton Smith, at some point in that 4th round, made his mind up. In the 2nd and 3rd round, it looked like the champion was speeding him up and starting to break him down a little bit. But then in the 4th round, Smith made his mind up that he wasn't going anywhere. He was going to walk through anything he had to walk through. And he was beginning to punctuate, even when he was getting outlanded, even when his head was snapping. He was starting to smother the power a little bit. And Matias was arm weary, was exhausted. And I thought maybe the pace would be too much for Dalton Smith. It looked like the pace was becoming too much for him in the 2nd and 3rd. But he had his composure. And that right hand bomb stops the fight, knocks out Subriel Matias. The pace wound up being too much. The pace Matias was setting burned him out. And what a fight. What a knockout for Dalton Smith, who's a good fighter. He may not be the favorite against the Teofimos, the Shakurs, the Gary Antoines, the Richardson Hitchens, but he earned the right to be a world champion tonight. And for Matias, some bad karma, popping for the PED, trying to fight with the gloves that weren't sanctioned ultimately by the commission, and for the second time in a homecoming title defense gets knocked out. Not knocked out, he lost to Liam Paro, but gets knocked out and loses to a Commonwealth fighter in Dalton Smith. Hats off to Dalton Smith, man. That was, I don't think the Puerto Ricans will go home that disappointed. Every other Puerto Rican on the card got a knockout, yeah. And there was exciting fights throughout, and they got a war. They love boxing, first and foremost, and they got a 5-round Fight of the Year candidate. What a way to start the year. Shout out to Fresh Promotions. They did their thing, and Dalton Smith, look, I didn't like Matias taking the selfies on the way to the ring. I didn't like the PED. I didn't like him being fixated on Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn got in his head a little bit. Eddie Hearn's a good promoter. And ultimately, Dalton Smith makes good on Eddie Hearn backing up his talk. It sucks we won't get Pitbull Cruz versus Matias. But Matias, for as exciting as he is, and now Matias is raising up Dalton Smith's hands and giving him props. But Matias is a really fun fighter, but a very beatable fighter. His defense is not good. And that's been his undoing 3 times now. And now I think biased commentary. What do you mean? I was saying that Smith was walking through the fire. And chat, check Foxy Iro. This was not biased commentary. This was fire commentary by your boy. I was saying while Matias was outlanding him, it wasn't looking good for him. And ultimately it didn't. So, and even though I gave him the edge heading in, this fight was close enough that I didn't go on the record on the channel with a pre-fight prediction. It's just once we got live and you guys asked me who I gave the edge to, I had to give the edge to Matias. But I did say Dalton Smith could win this fight, and if he wins this fight, it's by knocking him out with the right hand, and he did. So anyways, hell of a fight. And a really good way to start off the year. And yeah, man, Dalton Smith is a good matchup for any of the other fighters. So any of the other champions is a good fight. This was a young man who came in with the eye of the tiger, who wanted it, who made his mind up, who was maybe wilting a little bit in the second or third fight. Once those waves came, I got to, again, shout out Teddy Atlas. He named it. He nailed it, man. He said he thinks that Matias would be a little bit shop-worn from the Puello fight. I think he was. Nothing to take away from Smith. And he also said he was guessing that, oh, not my commentary. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Fox. My bad. I got defensive. I apologize. Thank you, Sammy, for letting me know. My wife let me know what it is. My bad. But Teddy Atlas called it, man. He's been on fire. He said that he knew, he estimated that Smith would have the character to weather the storm. And boy, did he. And I do think, again, Teddy was also accurate in saying that the Puello fight probably took something out of Matias. But, man, I just got to give a shout-out to Teddy. He's brilliant. But that was a hell of a fight, man. Hats off to both guys. I can't say enough. It was a hell of a fight. That was a great 5-round fucking war. That was a classic. And the whole card was good. I should have got on earlier. The whole card was good. So Steve Santiago said great commentary. So you guys are saying the commentary was biased as hell for Corey Erdman and Raul. Why did they? Well, I mean, to be fair to them, it was a fight where Matias, in my eyes, was winning the battles, aka the rounds. I gave Smith clearly the first. Second round was a swing round. Third round was clearly Matias. But the second round was a swing round I edged to Matias. The third round was clearly for Matias. The fourth round, 2/3 of the round was Matias, but Smith hurt him at the conclusion of the fourth round, and it was in the fourth round where the foreshadowing of the eventual knockout in the fifth. And then even in the fifth round, up until the knockout, Matias was winning. So conceivably, you were heading towards a 49-46, 4-1 fight for the champion right as he got knocked out. So to cut those guys slack, if they were calling it for Matias, conceivably he was banking rounds. Now again, the second round, close round. The fourth round, I think Matias outlanded him that round, but he got hurt at the bell. So if you want to swing it that way to Smith, I'm not mad at you. But again, conceivably, Matias up until the knockout was heading towards a 4-1 fight. But I noted in the commentary that he was, winning the battles, but it starting to look like he was on his way to losing the war. And that's what happened, man. And boxing is a special sport because what you saw come out of the fighting spirit of Dalton Smith, in my opinion, was special tonight. It got deep for him. He probably was getting hit with more shots in 2 or 3 rounds from a champion who may have already been desperate early, who knew he felt not all the way himself right out of the gates. Because the difference between the first round of the Ergashev fight, which had some similarities to the first round of this fight, Matias looked fresh and confident and had that swagger to him. He seemed to know he was in a little bit of trouble. And he fought a little bit out of desperation as early as the second and third rounds, and it worked. It swung the momentum his way, but he couldn't sustain it. And to see Smith pull through that and weather that storm and not be denied is what the sport is all about. That's what makes magic in the ring. So, man, tremendous credit to Dalton Smith and credit to Matias, even though there's people obviously throwing some shit his way for the Osterine and things like that. But, Matias is a warrior in his own right, 100%. Two-time champion, two-time former champion now. But, again, between the selfies on the way to the ring, getting fixated on Eddie Hearn, the boxing gods maybe punishing him for some karma. But I don't know, man. The boxing gods let a lot of guys off with bad karma. But ultimately, that's what happened. And people saying Matias got exposed. I think his deficiencies have been exposed multiple times. It's just a matter of can you be good enough? Can you be tough enough to expose them? Ananian exposed them, and then he beat him in the rematch. Paro exposed him, but then he bounced back in a hell of a fight against Puello. I thought Puello was going to beat Matias, but he didn't. I think the Puello fight is his finest hour, but it took something out of him. And Smith wouldn't be denied, and yeah, I can't say enough, man. I can't say enough about the fight. It was an excellent, dramatic 5-round war. Instant classic. I think that was just a hell of... Someone said ESPN classic. Yeah, that felt like Mickey Ward versus Emmanuel Augustus type of fight. I mean, that was just a fucking war. So, that was fantastic. So, I agree. They should hire your boy. Okay? I'm the best. All right? But whether you think the haircut is good or not, I'm the best. I'm biased, though. I'm supposed to think that. Tay-Day, thank you for the super chat, brother. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate the 5, Tay-Day. Always good to see you in here. So, my wife saying, we're thinking of this new year and the schedule, more lives, consistently. I got to be more consistent, my love. Your boy gets depressed. I'll be quick. Been struggling with depression the last, 2+ years. It's a long story, but, yeah, I get that discouraged, defeated feeling, and I gotta stop being a bitch. But anyways, the fight was excellent. This is really good. Beef Murphy says, grow back the hair. I will. The luscious locks will be back. But who won? Dalton Smith won in a 5-round shootout war. Yeah, Smith dug deep. Absolutely, yes he did. Yes he did. So, all right, let me start a new one. Let's close this one. All right. Who is the best 140 pounder? Oh, hold on. Wait. Is this a poll? Hold on, I gotta add a poll here. Who's the best at 140? Crazy good, baby Kobe. Crazy good haircut. Dalton Smith. Adam Smith voice. Tiafimo. Shakur, if you think he's going to beat Teofimo. Gary Antoine. Damn, I can't add more. Or Richardson Hitchens. Who else? Gary Antoine Hitchens. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Who are we missing? Tio has the WBO. Dalton has the WBC. Hitchens has... No, we got everybody. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Boom. You guys tell me. Tio's the champion, Tay-Day. 100%. He is the lineal champ. He's the man. But is he the best? Do you pick him over Gary Antoine? Do you pick him over Shakur in 3 weeks? Do you pick him over Richardson Hitchens? You know? I think we pick him over Dalton Smith, most of us, right? But, you know, gotta put respect on Dalton Smith's name, though. He is fundamentally sound. He's a dog. But I think, you know, a guy like Tio would beat him. I think Gary Antoine would beat him. I think Hitchens would beat him. So, respectfully, I think that he is the weakest of the 4 champions. But I think you got quality champions across the board. I think all 4 of them are really good. Are good to potentially great, you know. So, I think it's a strong division, for sure. So I respect Smith. I think he's proven his quality. He's a good fighter. He's a world champion. He's got the green belt, the glamour belt. And, yeah, we won't know until Tio versus Shakur. That's a very fair answer. So, all right, is it time to talk a little Tio Shakur? You think we've exhausted the Dalton Smith Matias talk? Is it time to pivot? Tio owns this division, easy work. I don't think it's easy work in this division. I think it's quality, tough matchups throughout. I think this is a really good division with good champions. I think it's definitely one of the better divisions in the sport. So let's see. Lance Meyer says, I love Sean. I love you too, Lance Meyer. Thank you. No Pitbull. Pitbull, if you think Pitbull, you can put Pitbull in there. I'm just keeping it amongst the champion / potential champion January 31st if you're picking Shakur. Pitbull's the interim champ for this fight. Now, man, Dalton Smith Pitbull, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think I favor Dalton Smith. Pitbull's size is a bit of a handicap sometimes. Lamont Roach is a small fighter like him. He's coming up from 30. So it wasn't a handicap against Pitbull. I think against a 5'10" guy who even has the frame to be a welterweight in Dalton Smith, that could be a problem. That's a good-ass fight, though. But I think 5'10" with some good power. I don't know, though, man. I don't know. That's a good-ass fight, man. You can't sleep on Pitbull Cruz. It's not like Dalton Smith is going to be a long southpaw like Ryo was and move all night. So that's a good fight, man. You know, Cruz has definitely fought better opposition, definitely explosive, kind of underrated defensively, tucks his chin extremely well. But I think I'd favor Smith. I think that size a little bit is a factor. I don't know, though. I don't know. Keyshawn, oh yeah, Keyshawn though, unfortunately, I don't like Keyshawn skipping up to 47. I mean, I certainly would love a Devin Haney fight. I'm down for Keyshawn against the top dogs at 47. Those are all great fights, but I just wish he wasn't skipping past 140 so quickly. I think there's excellent fights. I mean, I would love to see Keyshawn and Richardson Hitchens. I would love to see Keyshawn and Gary Anthony. The fight I really want to see is Keyshawn and Richardson Hitchens. I think that's a hell of a fight. I want to see that. Their sparring was entertaining in the clips we saw. Their back and forth was entertaining. That's a good ass fight. That's a lot of speed and athleticism and length on both sides. And Hitchens is maybe a little bit the superior long range boxer, but Keyshawn's more dynamic and has more power and can match his speed. Hitchens is really dialed into what he does best, keeping it long. Man, I wish we could see that fight, but Keyshawn has other plans. And Speaking of that fight, I want to see Jermaine Ortiz let his nuts hang. I think Keyshawn's going to win that fight. But I want to see Jermaine, who coughed it up a little bit in the second half against Lomachenko, who didn't put his foot on the pedal enough against Teofimo, who, yes, he frustrated and outboxed for good stretches of the fight, but didn't win. He didn't let him hang enough. Pause. And he lets him hang a lot more than I do because I sit here and talk about boxing. He actually does it. I will always acknowledge that. But keeping it real, this is your third bite at the apple at this level. Win or lose, let him hang. Let him hang. And you might be getting Keyshawn at a good time. Keyshawn's first fight at 140. He's coming off a fair bit of inactivity and crashed out a little bit in 2025. I think it's fair to say that, right? So, and he's never fought a fighter with the athleticism and the size of Jermaine Ortiz, who's a legit, he's coming up from 35 too, but he's got a good physique. He's filled out well at 140 pounds, and he has fast hands and fast feet. I think Keyshawn beats him, but I would like to see Jermaine Ortiz, like Dalton Smith did tonight, let him hang and let the chips fall where they may. Yeah, box. Turn Keyshawn, do what you do best, but punctuate, go for it a little bit more, consistently over 12 rounds. And who knows, maybe you pull off an upset, but I got Keyshawn winning that fight. I just wish Keyshawn would stay in the division for a Hitchens fight, for a title fight or two. But I get it. He's one of these guys, like Oscar was, like Haney was, that 35 and 40 is not his destiny. 147 is his destiny. You look at his frame, and he's boiling down a little bit in those lower weights, and he's going to be most comfortable and have his feet underneath him the strongest at 147 pounds. So I get it. But Oscar and Devin, to name two, they got busy at 140. They picked up a world title at 140. The WBC strap. They put in some work. Floyd too, and they put in some work. They made that pit stop and made it count. And he's just skipping on to 47. But hey, it's his career, and it is what it is. I do like the Keyshawn Devin fight. I would favor Devin, but I would like that. So, super chat, thank you, man, from Sean Robinson. I think you have an excellent name, sir, and you spell it correctly. Sean Robinson says, thanks for calling the fight. I pay for 90% of the fight, but I couldn't pull the trigger on this one. You are great at what you do. 99% of the world hates what they do to earn. You have passion for the game. Depression sucks. No, thank you, brother. I appreciate that, Sean. And thank you, brother, for the super chat. I hope you felt it was a $35 saved by throwing 20 my way in the chat and enjoying the live round by round. And very grateful for the super chat, brother. Thank you. And yeah, depression does suck, but I gotta stop being a bitch. As lack a better way of putting it. But thank you. Cash Davis, thank you, brother, for the super chat. Says, salute, Sean. I came right to your channel after the fight was over. I have a question. Do you think Africa could beat Matias? And also, you are the best boxing journalist we have today. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And I tend to agree, but I'm biased. So, to not be biased and answer your question about Africa Matias, well, Richardson, he played it smart, didn't he? He did the old Ray Leonard Marvin Hagler. He said, not now. He said, IBF, 10-pound rehydration clause. Matias, maybe in Puerto Rico? No. Liam Paro upset him? Yes. And Ray Leonard. Marvin Hagler, right after the Hearns fight? No. Marvin Hagler after the Hearns fight and the John Mugabe fight? Yes. And that's kind of what I think. That's how Hitchens moved. He was, to answer your question, yeah. I think at this stage, Hitchens is a better fighter now as a world champion, more confident than ever, has grown into his prime. I think Matias, judging by how he handled the situation, may have very well beaten him back in 2024. But in 2026, after all the wars Matias has been in, and after the way Hitchens looked against, yes, a faded Kambosos, but still, the way Hitchens has been looking lately, he's excellent. And, yeah, I think he would beat Subriel Matias. But to keep it real about my fellow Brooklynite, he avoided that fight in 2024. And maybe that was smart, because maybe he would have got beat and he wouldn't be an undefeated world champion right now. But to call a spade, yeah, he did do the old no. Liam Paro, yes. His reasoning, too, doesn't hold up. It was the IBF rehydration, but that didn't seem to be a problem for him against Liam Paro. That shows Richardson, which we know, has a very high boxing IQ. He assessed and analyzed that situation correctly. He seemed to say, not against this guy, not right now. And I think against Hitchens being the brash New Yorker he is, would have tugged on Superman's cape a little bit more with Matias. Would have made Matias a little bit more up for that fight. I think Matias against Paro, all this white boy from Australia who doesn't talk as much shit, I'll handle him in my backyard. And then he got upset. But I think Hitchens, he would have been, at least psychologically, even if it wouldn't have mattered in the end, but, it tends to, would have said, no. This guy is a confident, brash New Yorker, an excellent amateur, an American fighter. I'm going to dial it up for that assignment. And so, yeah, that's how Hitchens handled it. And, it was smart. He is an undefeated champion. And I like the Hitchens-Duarte fight better than the Lindolfo Delgado fight. Lindolfo Delgado almost lost to Goyaz, his last fight. That awkward guy who dropped him. And, yeah, he almost lost that fight. Some people thought he did lose that fight. And Lindolfo likes to fight long, too. You're not going to out-long pause Richardson Hitchens. My original take on pause was the joke is on whoever started that trend, because it means you can't get through normal adult conversation without dick and penis on your mind, which makes you kind of, sus. But I'm talking way too much like a 20-something-year-old right now. But I'm trying to use the slang so I'm not as offensive. Other more appropriate words would be maybe more offensive, okay? I mean, we're trying to be cool. We're trying to be cool about this. But it works. Certain trends, they wear you the fuck down. And I say pause now. I'm not proud of it. I don't even agree with it. But they win. So anyways, thank you for the super chat again, Tay Day. Thank you, brother. So let me quickly, and I will still make a video about this separately. So here's my thought on how Teofimo can beat Shakur. I think Shakur is the logical favorite. There's too much tape out on Teo struggling against guys who know how to fight off their back foot. Sandor Martin, like when you look at how Sandor Martin checked him with the hook and dropped him, it's straight out of a replay of when Shakur made Valdez reach and checked him with a right hook and dropped him. It's like very similar. And it reminds me of, when I incorrectly picked Norman over Haney and Quentin Randall was nailing him with straight right hands at long distance. And you could see Devin Haney land with that same setup over and over again. Now, interestingly enough, he hurt him and dropped him with a left hook, hooked with the hooker, and then sweeped him with the right hand. To digress, I did say, even though I was picking Norman, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Haney drops him early. But I don't think any of us saw him hooking with a hooker to drop him early. Anyway, point being, there was foreshadowing there. Quentin Randall hit him with the same kind of long-range weaponry, the same kind of 1-2s that Devin Haney eats off of all night. And if you look at, Teo, huge flaw he has is, I've said it so many times, but I'll say it again, he doesn't change his look on the front foot. And he's not nearly as effective as the aggressor as he is as the counterpuncher, being the athletic guy. Save for the Lomachenko fight. But part of why is Lomachenko is not a back foot fighter. Lomachenko is a take the angle and get inside, do his dance, do his Usyk kind of dance, and then take the strong angle with the lead foot positioning with that southpaw angle, and then bop you around with short shots. That's Lomachenko's offense. He's not a back foot, long-armed fighter. So against the guy where he had those physical dimensions and advantages and length and size at, he fought off the front foot well enough to beat Lomachenko in that upset. And I knew Teo would beat Lomachenko in that fight. And I knew Teo would beat Josh Taylor, because those are fighters that get their best offense done on the front foot, essentially, right? But there's too much tape showing Just like there was tape showing Brian Norman struggling with Boca Chica's long-range right hand of Quentin Randall. And there's too much foreshadowing there that the bookies have Shakur a significant favorite. Smart boxing people, everybody I talk to in the gyms, not everybody, but mostly everybody has Shakur, right? So what I'm saying is the way Tio upsets Shakur and shocks the world is by outboxing him, is by doing, but Shakur is smart, and he peeped how Tio fought in the Barboza fight. And Tio and Shakur is saying in so many words, he actually expects Tio to do what I'm suggesting he should do, and that's box. And Tio, when he comes forward, to get back to what I was saying, he doesn't pick his lead hand up. That's great. It's great to keep the lead hand down and be creative and a counter puncher when you got the guy stepping to you, and especially if you have an athleticism advantage. But when you're stepping to a guy like Sandor Martin or Shakur Stevenson or Jermaine Ortiz, and they have fast hands and athleticism too, and they know how to fight off their back foot, and you're coming forward with that lead hand down, and you're not coming forward tucked with the lead hand down like Bernard or Tony, but Floyd didn't even do that often. I mean, he did against Shane Mosley, but Floyd, when he went up against a southpaw like Zab Judah, he came in the high guard, and Tio, he sparsely uses a high guard. I mean, he does it for a second and goes right back down to the lead hand down, and that's why Sandor Martin was checking him with the right hook all day. And when Tio fights as a stalking fighter, he's not nearly as unpredictable, and he essentially doesn't use his jab anymore against southpaws when he stalks them, and he basically is looking for right hands. He's looking for straight right hands to the body, straight right hands to the top, sweeping right hands to the body, sweeping right hands up top, and his jab becomes non-existent, and it's kind of the same kind of little probe, little feint, and then trying to do something with the right hand on the front. He becomes a lot more predictable against that back foot southpaw style, right? Now, but what I saw from him in the Barboza fight was beautiful. Now, I understand styles make fights. Barboza he's a worker bee, like Jim Lampley said. He's not a tremendous athlete. He's not as athletic or as fluid as Sandor Martin, Jermaine Ortiz, let alone Shakur Stevenson. But, and again, Tio with that low lead hand, Kambosos isn't even a southpaw, but he ate him alive with the right hand over the top because he used movement. He used his feet in and out, and boom, right hand over the top of that low lead hand. And so but the way he looked against Barboza was beautiful. And I get it. Barboza's not twitchy. But Barboza doing that macho shit with Tio heading in, trying to, be a tough guy. It paid off for Tio. It made Tio go, you be the tough guy. I'll be the smart guy. And that's what he has to do with Shakur. He has to fight like he did against Barboza. He has to fight with speed. And he has to fight with speed. And think speed, not loading up on shots. Because watch Tio on the front foot. He tries to be menacing and aggressive, and he loads up on the right hand. No. That will play right into Shakur's hands, and he could get washed. He needs to box. Shakur, for being the master technician he is, if you watch him, doesn't really punch off a lateral movement that often. He's compared to Pernell Whitaker, but Pernell Whitaker's jab was constant and busy and off a lot of times to his right. Like Ali would move out to his left off the jab. Like Pernell would move out to his right with the jab. Bernard and Andre would switch directions and feint and punch and probe and do different mix-ups side to side, laterally. Shakur, for being such a good boxer, doesn't do that a lot. He'll do the step back game and punch off of that, but actually a lot of Shakur's offense, if you watch him, comes with his feet planted. And he doesn't feint a lot. He's a prober. He probes with the lead hand, opens that mouth up, surveys and does all that, and then sweeps with the left hand, stabs the body, does all that. He's the two big boxes he has over Teofimo is that he has the accuracy, punch for punch, and he has the defense over Tio. And the only way you could really probably catch Shakur isn't off. Once he's set defensively and you're taking the lead, he has such good eyes, and he has a good high guard, and he tucks his elbows well, and of course the shoulder roll, all of that. He doesn't stick to any one defensive maneuver too long. He'll switch it up quickly and make you miss everything. You got to punch with him. And when he fought De Los Santos, a guy that had the speed and the timing to do that with him, it made him a little more gun shy. And Tio, like De Los Santos, but he's not a southpaw like De Los Santos. He's better than De Los Santos, but he's not as disciplined with his hand placement as De Los Santos. And he fights off of athleticism more than De Los Santos. But point being, that speed, that athleticism, that power, and that timing made Shakur think twice about pulling the trigger as opposed to a slower guy like Zepeda. So Tio has to be stubborn with his boxing. He has to almost say, I'm not doing it. I'm not falling in the trap. I'm not coming forward with my lead hand down and getting sniped all night. You take the step forward. Fuck it. It'll be a boring fight. I don't care if they start booing at Madison Square Garden. I'm not doing it. Just like Dalton Smith was stubborn tonight with eventually smothering the power and being on the front foot, Tio early, at least for several rounds, has to be stubborn about boxing Shakur. And the two big boxes Shakur has is accuracy and defense. The two big boxes that Tio has is speed and power. I think he has faster feet than Shakur, not more educated feet a lot of the times. Shakur, but he has more athletic feet and more power and faster hands, especially when he's not loading up, when he fights like he does against Barboza. So if he can make Shakur have to actually take a step forward, if he could, he should try to outbox Shakur Stevenson. And I think the way you would make a guy like Shakur tight isn't by pressing him. He likes that. It would be by making him miss, making him look a little silly, and doing that step back, look off that Tio does and all the flashy reflexes stuff. If he can get in his bag with that and be Gordo, because I guess that's who Gordo is. Gordo, his alter ego, Tio, is the guy who boxed a lot in the amateurs. Speed and skills, not loading up with power. That's how Teofimo pulls this fight off. Now, will he do it? I don't know. It's a lot harder to do that. It's a lot easier to do that against an Arnold Barboza than it is a Shakur Stevenson. But I think if he tries to stalk Shakur, that ain't going to work. I think his best shot is to use all that athletic gifts he has and think speed and try to outbox Shakur Stevenson. That's how he can get the job done, not by pressing him. That's my take. That's how he shocks the world. Now, does he do it? That's a different matter. I don't know about all that. But I think it's possible. I think it's possible. If he can make Shakur actually have to be the guy to step forward instead of him being the aggressor, I think he's in business. I think he can do it. Now, I know that stands against a lot of people's logic. Shakur is the superior boxer. And one problem Tio has, I said this to Sean, and we'll say this on our breakdown, athleticism burns fuel. That's why Ali, as he got older, a fighter that relied on his athleticism a lot, had to lay on the ropes a lot. Now, Roy Jones got away with it because he hit so fucking hard that he would tame whoever was in front of him in the first round, and he could slow the pace down and take a walk whenever he felt like it. Those guys were not going to rush him. But Shakur is more efficient with his movements, and that's why I think Shakur will be better off in the second half of this fight. Shakur, he's efficient with his upper body movement. But Tio will cross arm and do all the flashy reflexes, kind of like Canelo against Bud. That's part of why Canelo tires out more than a fighter like Bud. Bud will just manage his distance, take a half step out of range, make you fall short, reset, and step around to the side. Canelo, all that, and then loading up on shots. So using all of that athleticism burns fuel. But Tio's got to burn it up with speed and with smart and box and get off to a good lead. And then when Shakur inevitably adjusts to whatever he comes out with, then have something in the tank in the back end to pull off an upset. That's how I think he wins this fight. And another thought is, Shakur and Andre Ward, when I watched that interview with Shakur's smart. He's kind of expecting what I'm talking about. But Andre even asked him about, what if, in so many words, what if you have to come forward in this fight? And Andre said that, and Roy said, they both said, boxers gave us more problems. We're natural counter punchers. we like a guy coming to us. It's a guy that makes us come forward sometimes that gives us more problems. So that's what Teofimo should do. And there is a chance Bernard Hopkins and James Toney, Roy Jones was their kryptonite. Why? Because sometimes a master technician, a master boxer, when he doesn't have the speed advantage and he's in against a more athletic fighter, like even Jermaine Taylor with the youth against Bernard, even though I thought Bernard won that fight, the first one, but sometimes that's a master technician's kryptonite, is going up against a superior athlete. And like Roy Jones did James Toney and Bernard Hopkins. Maybe that's what Teo has to do a little bit. But if Teo goes after him, it's not going to work. He has to try to outbox him. And if the crowd starts booing, say fuck it. So Shakur is the favorite. He's the logical choice, but I believe that's how Teo can pull off an upset. I need to clip this and just make this the video. Anyway, yo, we got boxing talk in the chat. That is fire. Man, I think a lot of us got love for boxing talk. All the chats coming up, and yeah, man, shout out to boxing talk. Shout out to Greg Leone, who said, shout out to you, brother, for your unbiased takes. Much love and respect. God bless and Happy New Year. Does Teo and Shakur look like Mayweather Judah? Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I could see that. With yeah. I could see that. You know, one thing to worry about with my man Teofimo, and I'm saying he's my man because we're both from Brooklyn, and Shakur is trying to pull his Brooklyn card because he left at 6 years old. I left at 7 years old. So are we really from Brooklyn? Do we? Yes, we're gonna claim it. One thing with certain super talented New York fighters, Zab Judah, Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe, Hector Camacho, they peak early. And psychologically, something becomes undone that doesn't allow them to reign as long as they should have. To underachieve a little bit, even though Zab was undisputed, even though Mike was the youngest undisputed heavyweight champion, even though Riddick Bowe beat Evander Holyfield 2 out of 3 times and was undisputed heavyweight champion, even though Hector Camacho is one of the most talented lightweights that ever lived and is one of the most talented fighters and one of the fastest fighters that ever lived. Shakur said psychologically he feels there's something he can exploit about Teofimo Lopez, and I understand that. Shakur would appear to be the more stable psychological mental fighter over Teofimo, who's up and down, who's erratic in that regard. Yo, do I still have it? And Tyson, Judah, Camacho, Bowe, 3 out of 4 of those guys are from Brooklyn, like Teo. You know, I was just talking about depression earlier in the chat. Us Brooklyn guys, we could be head cases sometimes and squander a bit of our talent over the long haul. So that's what I think. Yes, I could see it being like Mayweather Judah, where this incredible boxer in Floyd Mayweather is getting outboxed by a guy who's the rare fighter he'll ever go up against, who's faster than him, who's a little twitchier than him, perhaps, in Zab Judah, in Teofimo Lopez. And he gets behind because it takes some time for him to adjust to the speed. But eventually, even though he's not the harder puncher, even though he's not maybe as fast, he's very fast in his own right, he high guards it, and with better timing, a little bit more gumption, which Shakur showed in spades against Zepeda, he comes forward and walks that ass down and takes the fight over. I think that's a great potential comparison, Greg. So shout out to Boxing Talk. I think that's a very good possible chance. That even seems more realistic than what Roy did to Bernard or James Toney, because it's only one Roy Jones. I think that's a very good potential comparison. Thank you for the super chat, Greg. Shout out to my man Matt Borgeson again, said Dalton Smith should have a homecoming, and then Gary Antoine. I got the other champions beating Dalton. You're right though. He can sell more tickets than those guys. He's got that. Dalton Smith can go back to the UK and sell out one of those arenas. That's for damn sure. I would love him and Pitbull, but Pitbull is an attraction, and I mean he just sold 10,000 plus tickets in Texas. Let me look at the WBC rankings, damn it, and let's see what would make sense for the new champion, Dalton Smith. WBC rankings, Box Live. Here, chat. We'll do this one together. Boom, boom. I am now small down here. All right, hold on. All right, let's check it out. What could we get? I made it too complicated. Let's do Box Live rankings. Here we go. Who's rated by the WBC that would be a good homecoming fight for Dalton Smith? Dalton Smith! All right. 140. All right. WBC. Alberto Puello. Yeah, there you go. That's a very legit, real fight. Sandor Martin, sorry, bro, you're good, but kind of not the funnest to watch for a lot of people. I'm a purist. I can appreciate it. And Sandor Martin against Alberto Puello was actually a good-ass, entertaining fight. And a lot of people thought Sandor Martin won that fight, but I digress. We're going to have to take the Alberto Puello fight instead. Sorry, Sandor. And he's rated 1 ahead of you. So, bang, bang. Dalton Smith, Alberto Puello, back home. Now, if they want to give him a soft touch, put him in there with a Mick. I can say that. My first name is Sean, and it's spelled the Irish way. I am part Irish. You could put him in with Pierce O'Leary. Put him in with Pierce O'Leary. Put him in with an Irishman. And, yeah. Adam Azim, eventually, not now. That's going to be a big fight, potentially. If Smith can hold on to the WBC, that would be a really big domestic title fight. So, I like Alberto Puello if we want a quality matchup at home. But if we want... I haven't even watched Pierce O'Leary. Look at me hating on the Irishman. But let's assume because Ireland hasn't produced a lot of champions that maybe you could do, he could do that. He could do that. Anyway, let me get thank you again, Matt. Super chat from my man, Cash Davis. Thank you, sir. Says, where do you rate Gary Antoine amongst the champions of that division, and why don't the other champions call him out in your opinion? I said this on Sean's because he's a fucking problem, and he's a very high risk who beat Boots and beat Hitchens in the amateurs and looked really, really, really good against Rayo Valenzuela. Shout out to Rayo for withstanding that beating over 12 rounds. He took a hellacious beating over 12 rounds. That was almost Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia-esque. But I think he's a problem, man. He has athleticism and volume and is a good technical fighter with the pressure. And I think he didn't fight up to the best of his abilities. That was a learning experience for Puello. He still has to prove he could be consistent because he looked dynamite against Rayo, but fell short against Puello. And he was supposed to beat Puello. And I would favor him to beat Puello in a rematch. But was that just a really good... even when he stopped Victor Postal, he didn't look all that. His jab was kind of shitty. He does this little short double jab and didn't look. But then against Rayo, it was like, this is the guy I saw on the rise. This is the guy who looks stellar in the amateurs. And if that guy shows up, he's a problem for all of them. I would rate him right now amongst the champions, maybe number 2. I'll put Tito number 1. I put Hitchens 3, Smith 4th, and Gary Antoine 2nd. I think when you look at the Duarte fight will tell us something about how Hitchens would do against Gary Antoine because Lemos got knocked out in 2 rounds by Keyshawn and made Richardson go life or death. Now, I think Richardson's gotten better since then. You get better as a champion, the old adage, and I think Hitchens has. But how he handles Duarte, if he pieces Duarte up, then that shows he's gotten better and improved with dealing with pressure. But if Duarte drags him to the pits of hell, then that tells you Gary Antoine would beat him. Because Gary Antoine brings more to the table, speed-wise, skills-wise, than Oscar Duarte, who's good. I like Oscar Duarte. But I think if Hitchens dominates Duarte, then I might have to put him above Gary Antoine because you got a superb boxer at the highest level tends to be the superb pressure fighter. But Gary Antoine's not he's like Sean was. He's like my guy Sean Porter was. A little more technically clean, but not as twitchy. Sean's feints and in and out game, very underrated. Sean was an excellent athlete. That's why he was a hell of a running back. I actually got to call Sean back. Um, but um, but yeah, I think, I'm tempted to say between Hitchens not feeling strong about wanting that fight in the division right now and Gary Antoine beating him in the amateurs and the struggles he had with Lemos, I would give the edge to Gary Antoine head to head. So yeah, I would go T.O., Gary, Hitchens, Dalton. That's how I'd rank the four of them right now. But 2 and 3 is real close. And conceivably, 3 could beat 1. Hitchens may just have that right style that always gives T.O. fits. Maybe he would beat him. And then I think T.O. and Gary Antoine, stylistically, I would think that T.O. has an advantage. He likes guys that come to him. He's an incredible counterpuncher. But Gary Antoine, I could also see breaking him. Steve Claggett, he didn't like some of that pressure from Steve Claggett. And Gary Antoine is no Steve Claggett. But I think T.O. would dial it up more, be more locked in for that kind of fight against Gary Antoine. They both seem to have a lot of respect for each other. Gary Antoine's picking T.O. to beat Shakur. Oshaki Foster's picking T.O. to beat Shakur. But I don't think they like Shakur, so that factors into it too. There's some animosity there. But yeah. Tay-Day, Sean, did you decide if you're going to T.O. Shakur? I'm not. I'm going to stay home. It's a lot of money to go out there. You're not really going to get access out there. I'm sure Turkey does not like me. Not that that should dissuade me one way or the other. But I'm just going to stay home and do this. So please join that night. Please. Yeah, they grew up together, Tay-Day, T.O. and Gary Antoine. I'm not sleeping on Ari. What's up, C-Money? Good to see you, brother. I'm not sleeping on Andy Hiroka. I said earlier in the chat that is a tough mandatory. Andy Hiroka is a tough fight for Gary Antoine. That is not some walkover mandatory fight. That's a speed trap fight. He better be locked in for that fight. And that's why I said earlier, Gary Antoine has to prove the consistency. You look Dynamite against Rayo. Is that guy going to show up every time? Raymond Murataya. He looked Dynamite against Jeremiah Nakatia, blasted him out in 3 rounds, while Nakatia made Shakur not look too good Shakur handily won the fight easy, but made Shakur not look great for 12 rounds. And then Murataya blasted him out in 3. Murataya hasn't shown that consistency, that sense of urgency. So, just because you look good in one fight doesn't mean you're always, the consistency matters. Like in basketball, like in football, some quarterbacks, they have games where they throw 4 or 5 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, and then they're not consistent, Some guys go for 40, go for 45, and then go right back to averaging 10 points a game. So that's a question to ask. But I'm not sleeping on Andy Hiroka. That's a tough title defense. That's a legit fight. Yeah, he has to be locked in to handle Andy Hiroka. King says, I got Andy winning that fight. So Gary loses to Hiroka easy. I don't know about that, but we'll see. Let's see. You're a southpaw, Sean? No, I'm a righty. Hey, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I left the chin out on that right uppercut. You gotta tighten it up. Get the head off the line. Okay, enough. But let's see. All right, chat. Bum ass cheater got knocked out. Yeah, well, you're not wrong. I mean, he's not a bum, but I give respect to him though. Rogelio Arias. Sean, you from Brooklyn? I am. Technically, right? I mean, I left at 7. I get to keep my Brooklyn card, I think. It's my opinion. Were you a boxer puncher in your amateur days? No, I wasn't rangy. I had a good jab, but I needed to get close. I didn't have that pull counter, that great upper body movement. I needed to fight off my jab and then rip on the inside, even though I was taller than a lot of guys. But I didn't have that outside ranginess to me. Nope. Good jab, but I needed to get a little close to do what I do best. What do you think about Rolly not wanting to fight anybody, essentially? I love Rolly. But I think it's pretty kind of disgraceful, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, him just shooting down the Haney fight. Like, I want to see that fight. Rolly, you've been talking all this shit about Devin for years, and some of it's been hilarious. But I don't know where we all come from. Don't you have to back that up at some point? You just can't talk mad shit and talk about how much he sucks and he's a bitch, and then now it's a unification, a pretty big fight, and not want to do it. Look, Rolly's reasoning would be, I'm a loyal PBC guy. Devin's not going to fight over here. I'm not about to give up my positioning and fight him on enemy turf and all that. And there's some validity to that, right? But to say I never want to do that fight and I don't care about that fight is disgraceful as a champion. But Rolly, do you think Rolly cares? Do you think Rolly gives a shit what I'm saying? Or what? No, of course not. So, yeah. Now, as for Devin, who we know doesn't like me, I think he's really good at 147, man. I think he's going to be extremely hard. Actually, all right. Maybe this is taking it a step too far out of overcorrection. But I think he can make a run at number 1 pound for pound again. I kind of thought that horse left the barn from the Garcia fight because of the punishment withstood. And even though Garcia rightfully had that fight overturned to a no contest, again, hey, I'm the guy who produced the Victor Conti receipt, so don't tell me I'm dick riding Devin. That's a big reason why he really doesn't like me now, is I produced that Conti receipt saying he knows how to circumvent the test. Leave it there. But Ryan was blatant with it. His voice changed for 6 months. It's even kind of weird how Ryan is super buff now, once again, after he didn't look like that for the Rolly fight. And he kind of has summoned that energy again heading into the Devin fight again and is buff again. Anyway, just saying. I think he's going to beat Barrios, by the way. I had that podcast with Raheem about, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. The last time I questioned all this focus stuff about Ryan Garcia, he went out there and lit Devin up in a no contest. So I think the speed is going to overwhelm Barrios. There's still a chance that Barrios takes a page out of Rolly's book and stays very disciplined, fundamentally keeping his hand on the phone, keeping the phone on, and catching and forcing Garcia to beat him with something else than the left hook. But he isn't the twitchy guy that Rolly is. He doesn't have the familiar. I mean, he has Joe Goosen in his corner. That'll help familiarity-wise with Ryan. But he isn't familiar with Ryan from years of sparring like Rolly was. And he isn't the puncher Rolly was. He's not the twitchy athlete that Rolly is. He's more of a worker bee. But he's very technically solid. And I definitely think, again, Barrios is going to be up for that fight. I think he doesn't like Ryan, as opposed to having too much respect for the legendary Manny Pacquiao. But I think Ryan has an ability in that fight, like he did against Devin, to kind of snap this button, press this button, and not even have to be clean with the placement, just overwhelm with speed. And then the hook will find a home. Now there's a chance Barrios keeps it tight and checks and catches those shots and counterpunches a little bit and all that. But I think the difference is, I think Barrios has enough power to hurt Ryan. He could drop him. He has enough power to make Ryan respect him, but not enough power like Rolly did to make him fear him. And that's going to be a little bit of the difference there. Not enough to make Ryan keep his hands in his pocket all night. And ultimately, Ryan is just more gifted than he is. So I think Ryan's going to win that fight. I think Ryan's going to beat Barrios. And then I think Ryan and Devin's going to be like the biggest fight in boxing in a rematch. That being said, Devin, now that he's at his real weight class where his base is more solid underneath him, I think he's going to be tougher to beat at welterweight than he's ever been. I think psychologically, coming back from the brink, the abyss after the Garcia fight, and coming back from that and triumphing and becoming champion again in dominant fashion over a legit guy who's got his flaws, obviously, in Brian Norman. Psychologically, he's on a different level now. I don't think he'll ever make the tactical error he did against Ryan in that fight again. He knows to work to his strengths better. I think from a scientific standpoint, his positioning is better than ever. His positioning was beautiful in the Norman fight. He rediscovered that beautiful up jab. He's got really good feints. He's very twitchy. He changes his head slots. So his skills are sharpening up. He's going back to what made him, that Mayweather-esque process. He's not Floyd. Okay, I get that. He's not quite Floyd Mayweather. But he's going back to what he should be doing, being that pure boxer. And now he's got something to keep you off of him for real. And sucking down to 35 and 40, I don't think he was hitting like he is at welterweight. And so now he's got better positioning, and and now he could slow the pace down. He could tame fighters more. He was more vulnerable at lightweight against Jojo, against Lomachenko, and those are smaller, quicker guys. Now fighting bigger men, sometimes that benefits you. And he's got more pop in this. His legs are stronger underneath him in his base. And I think with having more of that respectful power at 47, the pace is slower now. So he doesn't have to exchange as much. So he's harder to get to. At lightweight, when guys were walking through the shots easier, he has to have more volume. He has to throw more. And that makes him more vulnerable to get hit. But now that he can keep something off of you, and someone said Norman isn't elite. I'm not saying he's elite, but he's good. He's dangerous. He's athletic himself. He punches hard. Technically limited. Chin is not as good as it needs to be the puncher. He's a little bit of a glass cannon, but he still has speed and power and is a strong welterweight. He's not a chump by any means. So that's a good win, really good win Haney had, or at least a good win. I rate it, as the British would say. But I think now at welterweight, Haney's going to be harder to beat than ever. He's rediscovered his identity. He's psychologically on a different level, and has more power now to slow down the pace, which benefits him. He could tame you now. So I think he can make a run at number one pound for pound, and I think he craves it a little bit more. I think he craves, I don't want to come off like a diss, but Crawford and Mayweather could be a little sociopathic, psychopathic, a little selfish, a little bit, I want, like Tony Montana, I want the world, Chico, and everything in it, right? And Tio is up and down mentally. Ryan is all over the place. Shakur wants to be great, but I think Devin might be a little bit more, have that Kobe, Floyd, Terrence, mean ass psychoticness a little bit that it requires by these think he really wants that juice more. He really wants that spot a little bit more. And so I think he could make a run once again at number one pound for pound. And I know people will say, man, he could have got Norman out of there early, and that fight got boring as fuck down the stretch, and he still could be chinny and all these things. I saw a performance that he could still build off of and get better from, and it was still a performance he dominated off of. And so I think he could make a run at the top spot. I do. And I don't see anybody at welterweight beating him. And the 140s coming up, like a Shakur or a Tio, they're going to be outgunned in length a little bit. And that's a problem against a guy who knows how to fight long like that and is going to double down on fighting long now. Isn't going to take too many chances like he did coming forward against Ryan. He still looks shaky in spots against Norman. Don't get me wrong. And he clinched a lot. He didn't get him out of there when he could have. And but Bill was holding him accountable for it in the corner and in the post fight. I mean, he was super happy with the performance, but he also told Devin late, let it go a little bit more. And it wasn't Bill miscalculating like he did against Ryan, saying go in there and kill him and having that bad game plan. It was a more calculated, intelligent way of telling his son to step it up. So, Haney's going to be a problem, man. Haney's going to be very difficult to beat at 147. He should reign. He should become undisputed in that division. So, there you go. There you go. How's that for hating? Breakdown and pick Murataya versus Cruz. I like that. Tony Yayo saying salute to the mighty LDBC. Hey, the LDBC isn't always going to agree with me, though, Tony. But shout out to you guys, man. We all got our perspective and our opinions. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes this guy's right. Sometimes this guy's on the money. No one owns the sky, except Teddy Atlas lately. But yeah, we all shout out to the LDBC. Shout out to the people that disagree with them too. Everybody has their takes that age well, takes that don't age well. Everybody has their perfect fight breakdowns and their breakdowns where they're way off. And I think it's always a high IQ chat in here. So yeah, shout out to you, Tony Yayo. Shorty was seductive dancing on me. So anyway, what's up, GDDD? But to answer the Murataya Cruz fight, I think Cruz is the favorite. That's what the betting odds say. Murataya needs to have a sense of urgency. He doesn't he waits too much. Like Zaur Abdullayev, that fight was a dull 12 rounds where he became IBF champion. Credit to him. But Ray is a more intelligent, calculating fighter, but I think a little too intelligent and calculating for his own good sometimes. At the end of the day, you're a strong Mexican kid. Fight a little bit more often, box a little less. Look at how Kid Austin, took out Farmer in one round. Look at the volume Zepeda produced. And yeah, I think you're better than William Zepeda. And Zepeda struggled, but he wasn't impressive against Tevin Farmer. And Tevin Farmer, really a past his prime, 130-pounder, and you went pretty even with him. You won the fight, but it wasn't impressive. And then Kid Austin blows him out in a round. Zepeda went life or death with him and got dropped in the first round, but wound up hitting him with hundreds and hundreds of punches. He let his hands go. If Murataya waits too much, he's gonna lose. He's gonna lose. Cruz is gonna be the twitchier guy. And if you let a guy like Cruz breathe too much, he gets in a rhythm, and that's not good. You don't want that Cubano to get in a rhythm like that. Murataya has to punch with him. Murataya has to come in with real confidence in this fight. And Murataya is the guy with 23 professional fights. Cruz has 6 fights and hasn't really fought anybody. He's really getting this fight in this shot. I mean, he's fought much tougher competition than most fighters have in their first 6 fights. Definitely tougher competition than Murataya did in his first 6 fights. But who was it? Was it Antonio Moran buckled him in LA with a right hand? If Moran could catch up to him, he's slow. Murataya actually has good speed and good skills. He just doesn't let his hands go enough. So Murataya has to have a sense of urgency. Punch with this guy. Don't wait on him so much. I know that's a little contradictory because to punch with a guy, you do got to wait on him a little bit. Because if you're just punching at him off the lead, he could be set defensively and counterpunch you. But look, that's why it's not an easy sport. But you got to find a way to mix in a sense of urgency, but also punch with Andy Cruz. Because Murataya, if he cracks Cruz clean, can knock him out, can hurt him, and eventually stop him. But if Cruz is just a step ahead of him all night and he's waiting too much all night, the fight's going to get away from him. He's going to lose. I would like to see Murataya find a sense of urgency. And I think a lot of that, to quote Ted, it starts mentally. It starts mentally up here. You got to believe. All right? You gotta come in with a sense of urgency and be like, this motherfucker with 6 fights who they made me the underdog. I'm the champion. I'm younger than him. I've had way more professional fights than him. And everyone's just ready to crown him with the gold medal. You got to turn him into Robesi Ramirez against Espinoza. Different stylistically. You're not some volume puncher with a huge height advantage like Espinoza. But you got to show him this pro shit is different than that. And you took this fight too soon. And I'm younger than you. And I got more power than you. And my speed and my skills are underrated. And handle your business. I think Murataya can win that fight. But GDDD says Cruz will win easily. I think a lot of people think that. But I think Murataya can do it. Will he? I'm not willing to say that. If you put a gun to my head, I have to watch tape to really... I'm going to cover that fight in 2 weeks. I will be there. But I would favor Cruz. But I'm intrigued. I think Murataya can do it. I think he can hurt him and stop him if he catches him clean. And Cruz hasn't been fighting off the back foot a lot, man. Cruz has been with Bosey fighting in the pocket a lot, and that could get him fucked up in this fight. So I think it's a very interesting fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if Murataya catches him, but it starts mentally. He has to come in with a sense of urgency. So Dominican Martin says, "Yo, Sean, can you look at my previous super chat?" Yes, sir. No problem. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Thank you for the super chat. I almost missed that. Thank you for the super chat, Dominican Martin. I know this is off subject, but I feel like they robbed Puello because they wanted Smith to have an easier fight with Matias stylistically. Matias was a much better matchup for Smith. They knew what they were doing. I don't think so. I picked Puello to win that fight, okay? And I hate being wrong. And I thought Matias beat him. I thought the problem for Puello was his foot speed. He wasn't able to turn Matias enough. And ultimately, Matias made it his kind of fight. Matias was fresher that night than he was tonight. Puello fought a better Matias. But I think that fight got away from Puello. It was very competitive. Puello landed a lot of good shots, but I think that Matias outlanded him and controlled the range, controlled the real estate, and Puello just, unlike the Gary Antoine fight, wasn't able to quite outfight the inside pressure fighter like he was able to pull off against Gary Antoine that night. So I thought it was close, 8-4, 7-5. I picked Puello to win, but I thought Matias beat him that night. Now, I think the Matias that fought Dalton Smith would have lost to Alberto Puello that night. I think that fight, like Teddy said, took something out of Subriel Matias and helped Dalton Smith, to your point. But I did just say, Dominican Martin, I would like to see that fight now, because now Smith has gone from number 1 to the champion and Puello's number 2. I think that's an excellent fight. And it'll be a tough fight for Puello because he'll have to fight on enemy grounds. He'll have to go to Smith's backyard, but I think that's an excellent fight. And Puello can win that fight against Dalton Smith. 100% he can win that fight. That's like a 50-50 type fight. But home field advantage could make Dalton Smith -3, -2.5 points, to put it in football terms. But I think that'd be a hell of a fight. I disagree, Sean. Puello got robbed. Are we doing that still trolling Sports Network because the green light is on Matias now? Now that Matias got knocked out, we say, and he didn't beat Alberto Puello. I don't know. I don't think so. I thought Matias won that fight. That's what I think. So, what's Mr. Quake telling me about Kobe and Michael Jordan? Let me see. Mr. Quake saying, there will never be another Mayweather. Look at Kobe or Michael Jordan, Sean Z. Well, Devin really looked up to Floyd growing up, and I think has taken pages out of his book. So maybe despite that, maybe it was a minor setback for a major comeback, the Ryan Garcia fight. Maybe he will. I think he's going to make a run at the top spot. I think he's going to make a run. Whether he gets there or not, we'll see. But I think he's poised to make a run again at the top spot. Usyk's getting older. How much longer will he fight? Inoue has nothing but tough fights lined up at 26. I think he beats Nakatani, but it's not going to get easy at 26. He's getting older. He fights a lot off his reflexes. And I don't think Shakur and Tio have the length in the frame to move up as many weight classes, potentially even up to 54 like Devin does. And I think Devin's going to make a run at the top spot. Whether he'll get there or not, we'll see. But I think he's poised to make a run at the top spot. The odds had Puello up when it was over, Sean. Did they? Yeah. I thought Matias won. I called that fight live here on the channel. And I thought Matias won. Let's see. Matias Puello CompuBox. Let's revisit Matias Puello. Let's relitigate it. All right. Let me look closely here. Overall, Puello landed 267 to 255 from Matias. So he did outland him, to be fair, and had a higher connect percentage. However, In power punches, Matias outlanded him by 4, but Puello did have the higher connect percentage. Yeah, all right. So you got your argument. It's not blasphemous to think that. But just me remembering how I called it on the night, I thought Matias controlled the real estate a little bit and won that fight. Thought it was close. So, but all right, chat is getting a little. I'm getting a little long in the tooth now. He outboxed him, Chauncey. I don't think he did. I think he was dragged into Matias's fight. He didn't have the foot speed to turn Matias like he really wanted to, and I think he came up a little short. And I thought Matias won that fight. So, CopyBox is biased, bro. Turkey wanted Matias to win. I mean, he ultimately didn't get his next fight. Fresh Promotions did. So, I'll see you later, Mr. Quake. Take care, brother. Does Shakur beat Matias? Yeah, I think a lot of guys beat Matias now. I think he's a little shop worn. You know, he was pretty arm weary and exhausted through 5 rounds tonight. So, I think so. Tay Day, appreciate you, brother. Says appreciate the time and commentary. Yeah, before we get out of here, if there's anyone want best at this shit, thank you, Tay Day. I tend to agree, but I'm biased. You do need a certain mind to achieve greatness. And to get deep about it, I like to ask at what cost. I think that's what the movie Him was about, with Marlon Wayans. Okay, this kid is set to become the GOAT, but is he willing to like make ritual sacrifices and stuff? And, you know, even if that's far out there, even if it's not meant to be taken literally, I think the point is, you know, John Elway had a great documentary on Netflix. He wound up losing his wife. And I don't think it was the same as like Tom Brady. I think that was a little different. Like Tom Brady losing Giselle, I think Giselle was kind of on some bullshit too. It's like, you're a superstar celebrity like he is. You know how it works. You got with him when he was already Tom Brady. John Elway, it was different. His girl, Janet, was more like a day one. And she wasn't some celebrity. She was more of a down-home, real type, you know, normal woman. And met him as a freshman in Stanford. Had been there for the come up. You know, even though John Elway was already John Elway this freshman year at Stanford. But still, point being, she was there from the beginning more. And Elway ultimately became an alcoholic through that. He lost his marriage. And, you know, and Brady too, man. I should watch it because I cover the Raiders. Anyway, point being, and then also society, the more we worship these goats, which you could argue is satanic, even the terminology, but as we worship the Bradys and the Kobes, Mamba mentality, which is a snake and all that, you know, I believe in a lot of that stuff. Sorry, shoot me. But the more we believe in these goats, the more society in America is going downhill economically, culture-wise, all of that. So, yes, you're right. It takes a certain level of selfishness and sacrifice. They admit this. Kobe said one of his greatest gifts was he was an asshole, right? But what net effect is that having on society? Is it really positive, or is it just a bunch of false idol worship? And you know, that's why Ali and Tyson, I said this in my stands video with Raheem, that's why Ali said, I want to go to heaven when I die. I know God doesn't care if I beat Joe Frazier or George Foreman. He wants to know if I'm a good person. And Mike Tyson said, you know, fuck being great. I just want to be decent. I just want to be a good human being now. And what they're getting at is being the GOAT doesn't always necessarily mean you're a good person. A lot of people said Michael Jordan was an asshole. Now, we're enamored by these people, myself included. I have Jordan's jersey and all this stuff, and I have Kobe's jersey, right? But you got to wonder, is it a net positive overall the more we look up to these people and everything? Just keeping it real. Or are we supposed to look up to the people who really make our society go around? The people that serve us at restaurants, that make our food, that drive our trucks, that build our roads, that raise the children correctly, the teachers, all that. Tupac, you guys know I love Tupac. He said, one of the things he said before he died is, we don't need any more entertainers, no more celebrities. We need more thinkers, people that care, mothers, Regular, like, you get what I'm saying? So, yes, you are correct. It takes a certain mentality to become that type of great person, but at what cost ultimately for the person and for society? That's what I'm getting at. Show the jersey, Sean. All right, you got it, Sam. My wife says, no, we're not hating. Okay, we got the MJ. Okay, got the MJ. All right, and you know what? Since I got you guys, you know, we're not hating just because we admit that Kobe admitted he's an asshole. You know, hey Kobe, shit. I mean, how much can I be hating on him? We got all three of them. Oh, Vince Carter, get out of here. We got all of them, baby. We got Kobe. All right, if that ain't enough, we got Kobe on Kobe on Kobe. Okay, authentics. We got Kobe, but can't worship him like he's a god or something. Got to keep perspective of his flaws. Anyway, that's my take. And then one last time, I gotta show off the fresh jack. I gotta show this. Let's go. Very cringe of me to show it off, but this is a baby for me right now. Anyway, let me get to the super chat. H2 says, thank you for your contribution to boxing. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it big time. K Production says, are you and Debo Haney good now? No, I highly doubt that. I don't think so. But we don't have to be good for me to acknowledge his improvement and the fact that I think, you know, he's better than ever right now at 147. I don't see anybody beating him right now at 147. And I even think there will be a day. My original prognostication for him was he could be number one pound for pound. I think that's back on the table now that he's fully recovered and even gotten better since the Garcia fight. And I originally thought he was going to go from 35 to 54 and win titles in all four weight classes. He's 3/4 of the way there. I wouldn't move him up to fight Jaron Ennis, for example. I would let 54 thin out. I would let Fundora have to move up. Ortiz and Ennis and those guys have to move up. But if you go at the right time, he's going to be a champion at 54 eventually. And the timing all lines up for him. He has a couple years to go. I mean, Crawford was at welterweight from 2017 to 2023. Floyd was at welterweight from 2007 till the end, till 2017, 2015, if you don't count Conor McGregor. So he's going to settle into welterweight for a long time. And then when the right opportunity presents himself, he'll probably become a champion at 154. So I think he's already a Hall of Famer at 27. So we don't have to be good for me to give, you know, proper perspective and give credit where credit's due. You know, that's just me keeping it real. So, am I a Knicks fan? Absolutely, sir. I got a hot take for you. Amari, for the first half of that first season, Amari Stoudemire in his prime is better than Carmelo Anthony. Why? Because they both are basically, I mean, Melo's a better scorer, but Amari shot at like 55, 56%. And even though they both weren't good defenders, Amari's going to rebound a little bit more because he's 6'10", and Amari is going to block a few shots. So, hot take, prime for prime, I'm taking Amari Stoudemire over Carmelo Anthony. And Carmelo was fun to watch and everything, but he kind of he fucked up the Jeremy Lin experience, you know, kind of pushed him out of the way. And that could have been our point guard. And also he kind of sabotaged Amari Stoudemire's prime because he wanted the ISO so much. He clogged up the offensive flow a little bit. He made, instead of waiting a couple months, he was greedy and wanted his extension. He could have just signed with the Knicks in the offseason of 2011 and joined Gallinari, Wilson Chandler, Mozgov, and Raymond Felton and those guys. And yeah, so I would have liked it better if he would have joined that core that was rolling a little bit with Amari. And then once he got there, Amari, his usage rate went down because instead of running a bunch of pick and rolls, and it's the same reason why he kind of chased Lynn out of the way. He was okay with Raymond Felton and Tyson Chandler running the pick and roll because Tyson Chandler's usage rate isn't that much. But he sabotaged the pick and roll game by getting Felton traded when he was having his best season and bringing in an old Chauncey who's not a pick and roll point guard like that. And Yeah, man, he kind of fucked up the amazing year Amari was having. And at the end of the day, they're both going to basically, I mean, Melo's going to average closer to 30. Amari's going to be more around 23, 24, but they're both hovering right around 25 points per game. And Amari is shooting 55, 56% and blocking a couple of shots and getting a few more rebounds. And so I actually think Amari was better by a little bit than Melo. So there you go. Um, but I still love Melo too. I still love Melo too. So Amari, yeah, Amari over Melo, Tay. Yep, Amari over Melo. Bro, Amari, if he never got injured in Phoenix, that put a ceiling. He was still great for a few years when he came back, but Amari in 0405 when he had his career high at like 26, Amari, man, Amari was good. Like great. Amari was going to be like one of the all-time greats at power forward, I think, if he never got injured in Phoenix. He was crazy athletic. When he came back, he was still great, but it put a cap on his ceiling a little bit. So, yeah. Um he was hurt a lot of the time. He was pretty consistently healthy though when he came back in the 06-07. He was pretty healthy 06-07, 07-08, 08-09, 9-10, and then for much of 10-11, and then he got injured a little bit towards the end there and in the playoffs against Boston, and then that was it. That was his prime. But yeah, he was the man. Prime Amari was in Phoenix, he was, but he was also that up until that trade deadline, he was nasty on the Knicks too. That's why I got that jersey. So that was Nash's team. It was kind of, you're right, but I don't know, bro. I don't think it's a coincidence that Nash became MVP caliber with Amari in the pick and roll. I know he won a MVP in 05-06 with Amari out, with Sean Marion and Tim Thomas and Boris Diaw and all those guys. But, I mean, Amari's skill set, he gave him his Karl Malone. He gave him his Sean Kemp to his John Stockton, Gary Payton. Like, Stockton wasn't Stockton without Malone. Payton wasn't Payton without Sean Kemp. It was never quite the same without that guy. Their pick and roll, because I was too young to watch those guys. Their pick and roll is still like the best pick and roll I ever saw. Was Nash and Amari. And don't forget, man, Amari was the lead rebounder, the lead shot blocker, the lead scorer on those teams. And yeah, so yeah, I did. People said I looked like Steve Nash with the longer hair. Do I think Amari could lead that Knicks team to the Eastern Conference Finals like Melo led the Nuggets? Well, no, but Melo had a superior team to Amari. I mean, he had J.R. Smith, he had Kenyon Martin, Marcus Camby, Chauncey Billups on the last legs of his prime. He had Anthony Nene. That team was pretty loaded. Whereas Amari, he had Felton, Gallo, Wilson Chandler. That was about it. Like, Mozgov was a really good backup 7-footer. But yeah, like Landry Fields and Bill Walker were getting Jared Jeffries was getting significant minutes on those Knicks teams. They were not as loaded as the Nuggets were. I think Amari with a little bit more. I think put Amari on that Nuggets team. Maybe not, because fit matters. He'd be clogging up the paint a little bit with Nene, Kenyon, and Camby there, but give him kind of equal talent at different positions like Melo. And yeah, I think so. I think he could have done that. But yeah. So yeah, speaking of Blake Griffin, he was amazing. Blake Griffin's kind of underrated. So Keyshawn versus Matias. Keyshawn beats him. So, but again, I'd like to see. No, I know T Sizzle. I hear you. Like, I do think Melo that year he led the league in scoring was special. Like, I don't know if I could take Amari, any version of Amari over that Melo. I don't know. It's close, man. 04-05 Amari against 2012, 2013 Melo. I mean, Melo is probably a superior first option. Yes, he is. He's a better scorer than Amari. But I think overall, Amari might have been a little bit better. So, but, I don't know. Who takes over at 168? I think it might be Shiraz. I think it might be Hamza Shiraz, man. He looked pretty lethal against Berlanga. His body looks grown into 68 better than it did at 60. I think Shiraz might be Canelo. I think Canelo's kind of past it now. I think Canelo could. That's a good fight. I think that's kind of the fight at 168 right now is Shiraz and Canelo. And maybe Canelo can a lot of great Mexican fighters like Morales, Marquez, Barrera, they were good at coming back from L's when they were counted out and kind of restamping and reminding everyone who the fuck they are. Morales be doing it to Pacquiao. Even Morales coming back fat and winning a title at 140 against Cano and giving Danny hell and Maidana hell. That was like a reminder late in his career. Marquez coming back from Chris John losses and early career losses and Floyd dominating him, but just coming back after that and knocking out Pacquiao and then coming back even after the Tim Bradley fight and ending on a high note against Alvarado. Barrera getting knocked out by Junior Jones, coming back from it, getting knocked out by Pacquiao, unifying at 130, upsetting Morales. The great Mexican fighters are pretty good at bouncing back when they're counted out. So maybe Canelo, he could do that. He could summon that against Hamza Shiraz. But I kind of think Shiraz beats him right now. He's might be too tall, too fast, young. The timing of it just favors him a lot. So I don't know. Mobili or Lester Martinez? I think Shiraz is could beat those guys, but then again, he did shell up against Adames, and if that rears its ugly head again, then someone like Lester Martinez or Mobili could beat him. Mobili, you gotta push him rounds. Mobili comes out, hot in the first 5-6 rounds, and then he slows down a lot and becomes a lot easier to deal with. Martinez has better timing. That's part of why I think Mobili didn't take the rematch. Is Martinez is a little smarter than him, has better timing than him. And probably figured some things out and down the stretch of that fantastic draw they had that would have gave him the upper hand in a second go round. So, but I think Shiraz is faster than those guys and got more length than those guys. He's bigger than them. He's 6'3". I think he's grown into that weight really well. I really like what I saw against Berlanga, who's definitely more beatable than those two guys. But, I just really was impressed by Shiraz last year against Berlanga. I know it's Berlanga. Brooklyn stand up, but I think it might be Shiraz. And Pacheco hasn't been looking good. I tuned in late. Did you react to Oscar's Virgil comments? No, not really, but Oscar's kind of taking my advice a little bit. I said you should probably go to Amazon Prime. Do you really want to be under Turkey's thumb forever? And that fight, Virgil and Boots, it's not ready yet. Sorry, it needs a couple titles on the line. I know, who cares? But I might be the bad guy for saying, look, I am not saying over-marinate that fight and fight each other in their 30s. But just 1 year. Let Ortiz fight Fundora. The WBC should do their fucking job. I wish PBC wouldn't waste our time with Fundora and Thurman. Shout out to Keith. Much love to Keith. But in all likelihood, Fundora's going to cook him. He's well into his 30s, all right? And Fundora is better than ever right now and a giant and has ridiculous volume and is a withering body puncher, and Keith hates it to the body. And maybe Keith could pull a rabbit out of the hat and pull a Mendoza, but I don't see it happening. So all right, we gotta kind of, I feel, waste time. Like time is valuable, and the fight is Ortiz and Fundora. That's a fight of the year candidate. It should be WBC full title. Ortiz, I think, would win in a fucking war. And Ortiz would be a full champion now. Meanwhile, Eddie needs to land Boots the Bakram Josh Kelly winner. That's what needs to happen for Boots. So then Boots gets the IBF. Virgil beats the number one guy and gets the WBC. And then that fight can sell in America without a sugar daddy. But right now, it needs a sugar daddy. And Oscar might be starting to not feel that idea anymore. And maybe Turkey, with Oscar's deal with the zone up, Turkey might be pressuring Oscar to capitulate, to play, to do what he wants, like Eddie does. Get in line, re-sign with DAZN, the company he owns 13% of, And, you know, if I'm going to fund these fights like Virgil and Ortiz or Virgil and Boots, you do what I say. Or as Eddie Hearn says, do what you're told. Do as I'm told. Okay? I don't have a good Eddie Hearn right now. I'm just not feeling it. But Eddie said, do as you're told, right? And maybe it's like Oscar doesn't want to do that. Maybe Oscar sees, no. Like Sean said, last year you said you're in Dana's league, you're going to crush everything. Well, I'm included in everything, okay? And I can't stand Dana, speaking from Oscar's perspective. So no. Instead, and it's a really tough fight. Not market value worth a ton of money to where I get my kid beat when I think my kid definitely beats everybody else. So you go to PBC and you can get an Errol Spence fight potentially, and everybody would be picking Virgil to win that fight. And you might make more money fighting in Cowboy Stadium or fighting somewhere in Texas against Spence, who's moved a lot more tickets in his career than Jaron Ennis is, and is a much easier fight. So more money, easier fight, okay. And then Fundora, which is also a very difficult fight, a great fight, but in my opinion, the easier fight than Jaron Ennis, who is just a freakish talent, who, yes, fights loosey-goose and has his chin exposed sometimes and didn't cut the ring off against Karen, but he's a special fucking talent. He's just a special talent, period. And I think Ennis, through his versatility and talent, would beat Ortiz. It's hard to beat a fighter with the versatility and the talent and the athleticism and the power and the speed of Boots from here. And Virgil does his best work from here. Now, Virgil's velocity and speed is very underrated. He's a hell of a puncher. He has some head movement to go with that, timing. I think they're both elite, even though they don't have the resume to back it up just yet. But my eyes say Virgil and Boots are elite. But the guy who could switch, the guy who has a bunch of different looks, and I think Boots has the edge in that matchup. It's hard to beat a guy like that from here all night long. So you could fight Spence for more money, easier fight, not be under Turkey's thumb. You could fight Fundora, easier fight, very tough fight, title fight, unlike Boots. Boots is in a title fight, and I think that fight sells more. It's Mexican versus Mexican. You put it in Vegas, put it in Texas, and I think the Mexican fans are really going to go crazy for that kind of matchup. And, you know, you work as your own boss in those two fights. Your kid's the favorite in those two fights, as opposed to not being your own boss for a fight that doesn't draw as much right now against a guy that may very well beat you. So there's that. And I think that's what's going on right now. So there you go. So this is a 50-50 fight. Boots hasn't fought anybody. I agree. It is a 50-50 type fight. But just me, and I've been wrong plenty of times, but I think Boots is the slight favorite to me. And I also think Boots, some of the mistakes he makes against lower level opposition, I think he tightens it up a little bit for Virgil Ortiz. I don't think he's as loosey-goose and as careless. If he is, he can get his fucking chin checked and cracked and lose that fight. Don't get me wrong. I just have a feeling he won't do that. I think he'll dial it up for that. So we'll see. Sean, Bills or Jags? Bills. I feel like the Illuminati script is maybe for Josh Allen to win his first Super Bowl. But beyond that, I feel like the Jags are a better team. But Josh Allen is a really great player, and this has to be his year. Mahomes isn't there. Lamar Jackson isn't there. It's wide open for him. This has to be the year. He is better than Trevor Lawrence. I like Trevor Lawrence. Trevor, 6'6", with awesome hair and a good arm and mobility like Trevor has, doesn't grow off trees. I've always thought Trevor Lawrence is legit. And the Jags defense is sick. Devin Lloyd is an awesome linebacker. They get a lot of turnovers. They got a good running game with ATN. My man Jacoby Myers got traded from the Raiders. I always thought Jacoby was underrated and really good. They won 8 in a row with him. They're at home. I love the teal jerseys. But I think the Bills. I think the Bills. I would like to see the Jags win. I like the Jaguars. I love their throwback uniforms growing up. I love Fred Taylor and Jimmy Smith and Mark Brunell and all that. But, I think the Bills. I think it's Josh Allen's time. I think the Bills might win the Super Bowl. So, there you go. But I'd like to see the Jags win. So, But yeah, man. I hope I haven't blabbed too long. I'll let it go now. I think we touched on everything. Who's Abdullah's next opponent? I heard Lucas Body. Yeah, the kid who knocked out H2O. I heard him. I heard. I heard through the grapevine. Don't take it for gospel. It's not an easy fight. Abdullah has a lot of things to work on, and what's tough is he doesn't have a lot of experience in the corner, but talent. He's as talented a young fighter as there is. His talent's off the charts. He has all the talent in the world, all the upside in the world. Will he realize it? Is the question. And Body could be a dangerous fight because Body, he got inside he took the right step in at the right time and looped the shot to knock out Ashton Sylvie. And I could see Mason being vulnerable for that exact kind of moment. So he better have learned something from Noakes about his distance control and overall and his skill. But I would pick Mason to win that fight. But it's a dangerous fight for the kid. The kid is still really raw at 21 years old and nowhere near growing into his full man strength and frame and all that. But he's another one I think it will be all the way up at 54, definitely 47 one day. And I think, like we talked about with Devin, 47 is going to be where he really settles in and gets really strong at. And if he ever realizes his potential, he could be number one pound for pound one day. But he's not as further along skill-wise as Shakur and Devin were at his age. But his upside might be even better than theirs. And certainly in some dimensions it is. So we'll see. Yeah, thank you, Sammy. My wife saying Vegas Sports Today. That's my football channel with my man Mike Dixon, my partner. So yeah. Is Junto Inoue really signed already? I don't want that fight. I do want that fight. Let. I get it. A lot of people they want Inoue Bam now, or they want Inoue at 26. I get it. It feels more like a foregone conclusion now that Inoue will beat Nakatani, but I'm like, let him do that. Let him have that moment then. Even if it does feel more like it's still a good-ass fight. Nakatani is still really good. Still a great fight. Let him fulfill that destiny of the Tokyo Dome in Japan's biggest fight ever against another undefeated guy who's still an excellent fighter. Now it's not the 50-50 type of fight maybe people were thinking it was and building it up as. Now Inoue is basically being picked by everyone, but let him fulfill that. Let him fulfill that kind of destiny and achieve that moment if that's what's coming his way, and let Bam happen after that, or let the move up to 26 happen after that. That's what I think. Let Inoue Nakatani still hold center stage at the Tokyo Dome in May. And it's still a good-ass fight. Great fight. Do I think Canelo will fight Cinco de Mayo this year? I don't know. I think he might. I think the play for Turkey at this point, with 2 fights left on the deal, is make him fight Shiraz and Riyadh. I think that's what it is. So, but all right, chat. I think that's all I got for tonight. You guys are awesome. Thanks, everyone, for hopping in. God bless all of yous. Enjoy the football game tomorrow, the football games. I still got to drop a quick Matias Dalton Smith reaction. But yeah, you guys are awesome tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, with the super chats in the chat period. And you guys were awesome. So have a good one. God bless.